Chapter 741, Refining the Reincarnation Pill, 1, Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. Li Lingtian was the only one who understood how powerful and heaven-defying true dragon's blood was. From the look on Master Cloud Dao's face, he could tell that he didn't have much true dragon blood, and his heart was racing. Before he could say anything, Master Cloud Dao spoke first. Sir Lingtian, you should understand the power and effects of the true dragon's blood, right? Master Cloud Dao's expression was serious as he looked at Li Lingtian. He did not dare to use the true dragon's blood recklessly. If he failed, he would never have another true dragon's blood in the future. He had witnessed Li Lingshan's methods and performance over the past few days. As a holy alchemist, he was far inferior to Li Lingtian. Now that he wanted to use the true dragon's blood, he wanted to see what Li Lingtian thought. Of course. The true dragon is the most powerful and mysterious demonic beast in the world. It can also be said to be the king of the demonic race. At the same time, the true dragon has already left the category of demons and is almost the same as humans. The blood of a true dragon is extremely powerful and has a mysterious and powerful effect. It can be used to refine pills to increase the power of the pills and the physique of warriors. It can increase the endurance of warriors when they consume pills. The reincarnation pill uses the blood of a true dragon. It's the same. With a faint smile on his face, Li Lingtian slowly explained the use and power of the true dragon's blood. The other spirit alchemists looked at Li Lingtian and agreed with his words. After all, Li Lingshan's identity and strength were on display. Naturally, there was no objection. I wonder how confident Sir Lingtian is in refining the reincarnation pill with the true dragon's blood? Master Cloud Dao's eyes were fixed on Li Lingtian. As soon as Li Lingtian finished speaking, he asked Li Lingtian. Yun Zhongtian and the rest, as well as the 9 spirit alchemists, turned to look at Li Lingtian. This was a crucial moment. Success or failure was in Li Lingshan's hands. Their fates were also in Li Lingshan's hands. If Li Lingtian failed to refine the pill, they would have no chance of survival. If Li Lingtian succeeded in refining the pill, they would still have a chance of survival. Ha! Ha! To everyone's surprise, Li Lingtian was in the mood to laugh at this moment. However, no one dared to do anything to Li Lingtian. After all, Li Lingtian was the main character of this alchemy session. Everyone was waiting for his next words. Do you think I'm not confident in refining pills? In front of this seat, any medicinal pill is easy to obtain. The same goes for the reincarnation pill. The blood of a true dragon cannot be used to refine a pill. Only half a drop is needed. If it is in front of you, the reincarnation pill will forever fail. But in front of me, this reincarnation pill will definitely succeed. The smile on Li Lingshan's face did not fade. Instead, he looked more confident. His body also emitted a faintly discernible mysterious aura, giving off an omnipotent aura. As he spoke, everyone was stunned. They did not expect Li Lingtian to be so overbearing and confident in refining such a grade 8 pill. Not to mention refining pills, just this confidence alone was not something that ordinary alchemists could compare to. Moreover, this confidence was not blind confidence but a strong confidence because they had witnessed Li Lingshan's means and abilities. As for Li Lingshan's heaven-defying reputation in the Xian continent and his peerless mutated pills, every single word was Li Lingshan's patent. Now that he said such words, naturally no one doubted him. However, they could not help but be shocked. Sir Lingtian is indeed Sir Lingtian. This was all Master Cloud Dao could say. He didn't know what else to say. Although Li Lingtian did not say it out loud, he understood that it was more reliable than saying it out loud. Let's begin. Li Lingtian extended his right hand and looked at Master Cloud Dao. Master Cloud Dao did not say anything. He tossed the jade bottle toward Li Lingtian with one hand. Only Li Lingtian had the ability to do such a thing. Moreover, there was no need to hesitate at this point. Besides, if they were to refine the elixir, they would have to use up this drop of true dragon's blood. Li Lingtian would only use half of it. Even if he failed now, he would only waste half a drop of true dragon blood. The other half would give him another chance to refine the reincarnation pill. Li Lingtian took the jade bottle and activated his divine consciousness. He cast a series of incantation gestures and a small array appeared before him. It was an exquisite formation that was only 1 meter wide. After the formation appeared, it completely formed an independent space. Master Cloud Dao's expression changed drastically when he saw the exquisite array formation before Li Lingtian. This was because Li Lingtian was able to cast an array that was close to the divine level. There were few people who could cast an array to such an extent. The bigger the array formation, the more difficult it was to use. He did not expect Li Lingtian to be able to use array Dao so easily. All of them stared at Li Lingtian in a daze as they injected their true essence into the cauldron. She looked at Li Lingtian and saw that he had finished casting the array. With a wave of his hand, a stream of true essence floated the jade bottle in the air and several other hand seals were cast. Gradually, the dragon blood in the jade bottle appeared outside the jade bottle and floated in the air. The moment the dragon blood appeared, the array trembled and sucked the dragon blood into the array in an instant. The terrifying demonic power of the dragon blood was sealed in the array formation. Li Lingshan's eyes gleamed as he waved his hand. A light shadow was sent toward the array. The array formation trembled, and the light shadow entered the array formation. At the same time, the light shadow split the dragon blood into two. The two halves of the dragon blood began to go berserk, as terrifying as an injured demon beast. In the stone room, the terrifying demonic power seemed to be about to destroy the entire stone room. Yun Zhongtian and the others' expressions changed drastically. They did not expect the dragon blood to be so terrifying after being separated. At the same time, he used his defense to protect the cauldron in the center of the abyss. Rumble. A series of muffled sounds rang out in the air like thunder. The array formation trembled continuously, but no matter how much it trembled, it did not seem to be about to be destroyed. The destructive power of the dragon blood continued to riot inside. Upon seeing this, everyone understood Li Lingshan's intention for casting the array. They were all shocked. How did Li Lingtian know so much? He had expected such a heaven-defying commotion after the dragon blood separated, and he had even made preparations beforehand. Sacrifice. Li Lingshan's eyes were constantly flickering as he conjured a ball of icy frost flame. The icy frost flame flew toward the array formation without any resistance as it entered the array formation. The ice flame directly imprisoned half a drop of dragon blood. At this moment, the dragon blood became even more violent. Because half of the dragon blood was gone, the other half of the dragon blood seemed to go crazy. It circled around the ice flame crazily, and the violent aura was even more terrifying. Ding! With a soft sound, Li Lingtian used his true essence to extract the dragon blood from the ice flame. At the same time, he used a hand seal to inject the other half a drop of dragon blood into the cauldron. The dragon blood in the ice flame also returned to the jade bottle, and the air was temporarily quiet for a moment. However, after this moment, a destructive aura erupted from the cauldron. Upon discovering this destructive aura, everyone was shocked. The appearance of such an aura in the pill cauldron meant that the pill was about to fail. Dragon blood was the most mysterious and powerful item. It was normal for it to be used to refine pills and destroy them. Seeing that the pill was about to be destroyed, they were all shocked and afraid. However, Li Lingshan's expression was unbelievably calm. It was as if nothing had happened, as if he had known this outcome. Just as everyone was in shock, Li Lingtian made his move. One after another, he performed a technique. This technique was the standard alchemy technique, the alchemy technique in the ancient alchemy technique. When these hand seals entered the cauldron, the destructive aura inside the cauldron was quickly suppressed. The destructive aura was not suppressed. Instead, it was refined by Li Lingshan's hand seal and finally merged into the medicinal liquid. Seeing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. As he waved his hand seals, the spiritual energy in the cauldron kept emitting whooshing sounds. Yun Zhongtian and the others continued to use their true essence to stabilize the spiritual energy required by the medicinal liquid in the cauldron. Nether Qi. Scorching Sun QJ. Li Lingtian shouted loudly after he cast the last incantation gesture. Master Cloud Dao had already fused the two auras together by the time he finished speaking. Although his alchemy skills were not as powerful and profound as Li Lingshan's, he was still in a state of shock. However, he was still a saint alchemist. Even if he did not personally help Li Lingtian, he had already prepared his alchemy skills when Li Lingtian needed it and knew when he needed two auras. The nether qi surged out from the abyss. At the same time, the scorching sun qi above the stone room also rushed down. The two auras collided and hit the crucible. The fusion of the aura quickly entered the pill cauldron. The pill cauldron seemed to have become a carrier that accepted the infusion of the aura. Li Lingtian did not dare to be careless as he stared at the cauldron with a serious expression. His divine sense had already entered the cauldron and was watching the changes in the medicinal liquid inside. Increase your primeval essence. Li Lingtian shouted loudly with a grave expression on his face. The scorching sun energy and the nether energy were too powerful. It was impossible to reduce them. The only thing they could do was to increase the infusion of Zhen Yuan. Only Yun Zhongtian and a few other alchemists could do that. When the voice fell, everyone's expressions changed, but without the slightest hesitation, they could only pour in all their true essence. This was because this was the most crucial step in refining the reincarnation doctrine. If he failed, all his previous efforts would be wasted. Chapter 742, The Root of the Nine Heavens. Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. Terrifying true essence continuously surged into the pill cauldron. The cauldron was like a machine that could devour everything in the world. The 9 spirit alchemists and a few super martial saints all poured their true essence into the cauldron endlessly. Li Lingshan's expression turned serious at this moment. No matter what the situation was, when refining pills, one would put all their energy into it. It was the same now. Even if he had to face a few super experts from the Yunfeng villa after he succeeded in refining the pill, at least he would not be distracted before he succeeded in refining the pill. He used his divine sense to monitor the situation inside the cauldron, observing the changes in the medicinal liquid inside. The expression on his face kept changing. The powerhouses and alchemists were extremely worried when they saw Li Lingshan's expression. Following that, Li Lingshan's expression turned anxious. 9 Heavens Root. After a full 10 minutes, the powerhouses and spirit alchemists' expressions had turned extremely ugly. However, Li Lingtian did not move at all. Since Li Lingtian did not move, they could not retract their true essence. They could only hold on until the last moment of the refinement. At that moment, Li Lingtian made his move. With a flash, he levitated into the air. His eyes shone brightly as his entire Bodhis aura burst forth. Terrifying true essence and aura filled the entire stone room. Even the terrifying nether qi and sun qi seemed insignificant at this moment. Yun Zhongtian and the others were shocked and they saw Li Lingshan's imposing manner. At the same time, their eyes flashed with killing intent. The killing intent was fleeting. Li Lingtian did not have the energy to pay attention to anything else at the moment. All his attention was focused on the pill cauldron. Then, with a flick of his divine sense, a magical root appeared in the divine dragon ring. The root was not eye-catching at all. However, such an inconspicuous tree root had turned magical at this moment because it was Li Lingshan's handiwork. He also understood that Li Lingtian had brought out the tree root at this time because it would definitely be of great help to the alchemy process. While the powerhouses were still in shock, Li Lingtian waved his hand and cut off a section of the tree root with a burst of energy. He then stored the rest into the divine dragon ring. After everything was done, the 9 heavens root had already entered the cauldron. Rumble. The explosion sounded again, and the pill cauldron kept trembling. As the crucial moment arrived, Li Lingtian began to get busy as he displayed his various techniques without holding back. Seconds passed by, and the cauldron continued to absorb the nether qi, the scorching sun qi, and the true essence of Yun Zhongtian and the others. After half an hour, the cauldron finally quieted down. 8th grade medicinal pills originally required spirit infusion to attack, but the reincarnation pill was a relatively different kind of medicinal pill. It did not absorb spiritual qi, but nether qi and yang qi. Therefore, it did not need spirit infusion to absorb spiritual qi. Pill formed. Li Lingtian waved his hand at the cauldron and a dozen pills appeared in the air. The pills were emitting a mysterious aura that contained nether qi, spirit qi, true essence, and even sun qi. Whoosh! With a whooshing sound, Yun Zhongshan's figure flashed and appeared in the air, collecting all the pills. By the time the pills were put away, all the spirit alchemists and experts were already exhausted and their true essence was exhausted. He sat on the ground, unwilling to move even if he died. However, Li Lingtian remained suspended in the air as he stared coldly at sky amongst the clouds and the others. Now that the elixir had been refined, his life and death were about to change. He would either kill a few 9th heavenly layer martial saints or be killed. Anyway, he was not stupid enough to think that the people of the Yunfeng Villa would let him go. After all, the Yunfeng Villa would not let the news of refining such a pill leak out. Instead, they would kill him to silence him and then hide it to break through. The stone room was eerily quiet. Furthermore, their auras were extremely suppressed. They did not dare to make a sound, afraid of breaking the silence. It was even more so for the 9 spirit alchemists. After all, their cultivation was much higher than Li Lingshan's, but they paled in comparison to the 9th firmament martial saint. Furthermore, there were 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts in Yun Peak Villa. Reincarnation pill, reincarnation pill. The reincarnation pill has finally been refined. Yun Zhongtian looked at the pill in his hand, and his expression kept changing. After a long time, he finally couldn't help but shout excitedly. The sound was extremely unpleasant, like the laughter of a broken gong. However, as soon as he spoke, his sharp eyes were fixed on Li Lingtian. He completely ignored the alchemists below. In their eyes, the few martial saints below were nothing. Even if he was at his peak, he could kill 9 alchemists in seconds, let alone now that he had exhausted his true essence. However, the cultivation base that Li Lingtian had just displayed was what they feared the most. Moreover, Li Lingtian had not used his true origin all this while they had already exhausted all of it. "Sir, why are you making a move now?" Li Lingshan's expression remained calm and he had a calm smile on his face. He appeared to be at ease. The aura of his entire body erupted to the extreme. This aura had completely exceeded the scope of a martial monarch realm expert. Even an ordinary martial monarch realm expert would be worlds apart from this aura. Yun Zhongtian and the others looked at Li Lingshan's imposing manner with a grave expression. This was because Li Lingshan's strength had exceeded their expectations from the start. However, they did not expect Li Lingshan's aura to truly erupt at this moment. He had underestimated Li Lingshan's cultivation base previously. Now that he had seen Li Lingshan's strength, he dared not be careless. After all, Li Lingshan's reputation was extremely strong in the past. A martial emperor powerhouse had swept away all the super powerhouses in Moonsong Kingdom and even killed the first and fourth ranked martial saints. Although the Wanyan family's super powerhouse was only at the 6th or 7th heaven of the martial saint realm, Li Lingshan's cultivation base was still very low. He was already so powerful at such a low level. Now that he had reached the peak of the 9th heaven martial emperor realm, his cultivation base was even more abnormal. A person's aura was domineering and terrifying, looking down on the world. He did not have the slightest bit of fear when facing a few pseudo-martial god powerhouses. Naturally, they did not know that Li Lingtian was not afraid of a true martial god powerhouse at all. Moreover, he had almost killed the martial god. Now that he was facing a few fake martial gods, he was naturally not that afraid. Even if they were afraid, they could only face it. They couldn't just watch helplessly as they were killed without retaliating, right? Not to mention him, even if it was any martial artist, they would not be captured so easily. Sir Ling Tian is indeed powerful. You're even more courageous. As I said before, as long as you can defeat any one of us, you can leave. Yun Tian said loudly when he saw that the others did not answer. Even if he went back on his word, he could still test Li Lingshan's cultivation base. When the others heard Yun Tian's words, they looked at Li Lingtian with a bitter smile on their faces. How could a martial emperor realm expert fight against a peak 9th heavenly layer martial saint realm expert? Wasn't this courting death? Yun Feng Villa was already shameless enough, but they didn't expect it to be so shameless after successfully refining the pill. Alright then, which one of you will fight me? Pseudo-martial god, I would like to see it. Not only did Li Lingtian not lose his temper, he even laughed out loud. The aura around him grew even more terrifying as he rushed out with an aura that looked down on the world. He exuded a domineering aura. His expression was calm, but beneath that calmness, there was endless fighting spirit. His gaze swept past Yun Tian and the others, and finally landed on the 3 false martial gods. Since he could deal with the 9 heavens, then he would go and test the false martial gods. In any case, even if he defeated a 9th heavenly layer martial saint, the others would not let him leave. Instead of that, it would be better for him to fight a pseudo-martial god powerhouse immediately. Sure. The 9 spirit alchemists, Yun Tian, and the others all let out a sigh of relief. However, they were shocked by Li Lingshan's aura and tone. They did not expect Li Lingtian to give up the 9th firmament martial saint realm to fight against the pseudo-martial god realm. This was a kind of passive becoming active, becoming a provocation. He had always taken the initiative and would not passively take a beating, even if he encountered a heaven-defying expert. In that case, I'll have a battle with you. I'll see how capable you are to be so arrogant. Yun Longya's face was filled with anger. Although his true essence had been exhausted, the cultivation of the false martial god was still heaven-defying. It was not something a martial emperor could compare to. Now that he had been humiliated, it would be difficult to vent his anger without killing Li Lingtian. As he spoke, he slowly mobilized his entire Buddha's true essence. The situation was beyond shocking and Li Lingshan's face revealed a look of surprise. At the same time, the other spirit alchemists were also extremely shocked. This was because the true essence of Cloud Dragon Cliff, which had already been exhausted, was now rapidly increasing. This situation looked extremely strange. Do you think I've exhausted my true essence? You've been waiting for this moment, haven't you? However, I'm a martial saint, so I can't see through your tricks. Even if my cultivation is exhausted, I can still kill you easily. Yun Longya's expression became distorted. His ghost-like face looked even uglier now. Moreover, his face was filled with excitement and pride. Li Lingtian did not expend any of his primordial qi during the refinement process. Instead, it allowed them to expend their primordial qi rapidly. As a martial saint powerhouse, he was naturally aware of Li Lingshan's intentions and had been keeping an eye out. Otherwise, they would be killed by Li Lingtian when their true essence was completely depleted, even if they succeeded in refining the pills. The reappearance of the quintessential essence was to guard against Li Lingtian. Chapter 743, Battle Against Cloud Dragon Cliff, 1, please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M, a martial saint, is indeed a martial saint. He's indeed shrewd. But do you think your little bit of true essence can kill me? The smile on Li Lingshan's face grew wider. The other powerhouses were puzzled. They wondered what Li Lingtian was capable of for him to still smile despite knowing that the Yunfeng Villa powerhouses were on guard. However, after Li Lingtian finished speaking, the powerhouses' expressions began to change. As Li Lingshan's aura was constantly changing, the 5 elements Dao will appeared in the stone chamber. This 5 elements will of the way was supported by the 5 elements sacred body. The Yin Nether Chi and the power of the scorching sun in the space were all disturbed. Furthermore, after the appearance of the 5 elements will, a 5-colored halo appeared around Li Lingshan's body. The 9 heavenly stars. Li Lingshan's divine consciousness stirred as he extended his hand. A ball of light appeared in his palm. The moment the ball of light appeared, it exploded and transformed into 99 5-colored spirit pearls. The 5-colored spirit pearl revolved around Li Lingtian continuously. This seemingly random rotation had a mysterious trajectory to it, just like the stars in the sky. The 99 5-colored spiritual pearls kept spinning. Every time they spun, a destructive and terrifying aura would appear in the air. This terrifying aura was exactly the same as the aura in this space. Gradually, an independent world was formed within a 10-meter radius around Li Lingtian. Based on Li Lingshan's cultivation base and the power of the 9 Skies star, the 9 Skies star could extend to a radius of 500 meters. In other words, he was the ruler within this 500 meters. However, the 9 stars in the sky were only 10 meters in size. Not only did this not reduce their power, but it also condensed the 9 stars in the sky together, which also compressed their power. The 9 heavenly stars? Almighty technique? The almighty art of the 5 elements. The 9 spirit alchemists, as well as Yun Zhongtian and the others, all exclaimed. They were all martial saint powerhouses. Even if they had never seen an almighty skill, they could roughly tell that the divine power Li Lingtian had cast was not a heaven rank but an almighty skill that surpassed heaven rank. The might of the Almighty's art was beyond their imagination. Even if Li Lingtian was only a martial emperor powerhouse, they would not dare to be careless when he unleashed the Almighty's art. One had to know that the power of a mighty person's technique was enough to destroy the world. Martial saints were only warriors, not godlike existences. Even godlike existences could be injured or even killed by the techniques of mighty figures. Their eyes were filled with shock, and they did not dare to be careless for a moment. When the 9 spirit alchemists saw Li Lingshan's almighty skill, their shocked expressions turned into excitement. If Li Lingtian defeated the powerhouse from Yunfeng Villa, they would have a chance to live. If Li Lingtian could not defeat the powerhouses from Yunfeng Villa, they would not even stand a chance. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Seeing that Li Lingtian was about to fight with the powerhouses, the 9 spirit alchemists quickly moved away from their original spot and went to a corner. The excitement on their faces grew stronger as they sensed Li Lingshan's aura constantly changing. Furthermore, the 9 heavenly stars was an almighty skill and it was like a territory. If he had such an almighty technique, even if he could not defeat a 9th heavenly layer martial saint, there would at least be a glimmer of hope. With hope, there would be a chance. Stars in the 9 skies. Not bad. I'll try out the power of your stars in the 9 skies. Yun Longya's expression was also constantly changing. However, his current expression was ugly because Li Lingshan's means and strength had exceeded their expectations. This feeling made him uncomfortable. Furthermore, Li Lingshan's aura was threatening them. If they were to be injured by Li Lingshan's desperate actions, their breakthrough would be delayed by several years. One should know that at their level, a slight misstep could affect their breakthrough and advancement. Boom! With a muffled sound, the air suddenly exploded. The power of the pseudo-martial god erupted at this moment. The strength of the pseudo-martial god was far from what the ninth heavenly layer of the martial saint realm could compare to. Even if the pseudo-martial god was still in the ninth heavenly layer, the difference in strength between them was too great. A pseudo-martial god's strength was enough to kill the nine heavens. One had to know that even if a ninth heavenly layer martial saint were to fight, it was impossible to defeat the other party without heaven-defying treasures, cultivation techniques, and divine arts. The fake martial god had the ability to defeat a ninth heavenly layer martial saint. Boom! The two powerful auras collided, and the stone room shook. The 9 alchemists rolled around like beans in a dustpan. At this moment, he also trembled, and his face was filled with shock. A ninth firmament martial emperor battling against a false martial god was definitely not faked in terms of aura. However, Li Lingtian did not retreat even in this situation. Their auras clashed and the entire stone room shook. However, neither Li Lingtian nor Yunlongye took a step back. The battle of auras did not have the slightest victory or defeat for a moment. Heavenly Demon Region. Li Lingshan's expression was calm. The confrontation of aura earlier was meant to strike a blow to his opponent's confidence and give him the wrong signal. He displayed a terrifying pressure and aura, and with a single blow from the pseudo-martial god, the two of them were evenly matched. However, he knew that there was still a huge gap between the two of them. Li Lingtian 1's expression did not change as he watched Yunlongye continuously adjust his pressure. However, he was shocked and did not dare to be careless. He quickly unleashed the heavenly demon domain. In the heavenly demon region, the most powerful pressure of the fiend race was also the fiend race's precious cultivation technique. It could resist the powerful aura and help the devouring light devour the other party's aura and pressure. The heavenly demon territory was one of Li Lingshan's trump cards. He dared not hide his strength at this point in time as it would be suicide if he did. This was because the other party was too powerful and had the killing intent to kill him. There was no need to hide. If you were not careful, the other party's pressure would directly crush you to death. At that time, it would be too late to regret. Yun Tian's expression changed as he looked at Li Lingshan's heavenly demon domain and exclaimed in surprise. When Yun Tian was shocked, the expressions of the other experts from the Yunfeng villa also changed, as if they had recognized something. Heavenly Demon Region, the strongest cultivation technique of the fiend race. I didn't expect you to actually cultivate it. Today, let's see if the Heavenly Demon Region is stronger or if I'm invincible and domineering. Yunlongye's expression kept changing, and a strange smile appeared on his lips. It seemed that he knew a lot about this heavenly demon region. The aura on his body surged as a destructive aura charged toward Li Lingtian. Boom! There was a muffled sound in the air, and the air was constantly torn apart. Puff! Right after this muffled sound, the sound of blood spurting could be heard. At the same time, everyone was shocked as they looked at Yunlong Cliff and then Li Lingtian. Yunlongye's expression became even uglier. He was originally like a ghost, but now he looked even more hideous than a ghost. Blood even flowed out of the corner of his mouth. He kept retreating until he reached the wall of the stone room. His eyes were filled with fear and horror. When the invincible strike struck Li Lingshan's 9 skies star, a destructive rebound force knocked him away. Moreover, the immense pressure was also swallowed up. Ignorant. You're a fake martial god at the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm, but you have a pig's brain. Can you break my 9 heaven stars just because you want to? Li Lingshan's face revealed a look of disdain. The pseudo-martial god's strength was terrifying, but he was still at a disadvantage in front of the 9 skies stars. The 9 heavenly stars gave him a domain-like mighty figure technique and a saint-tier divine art. The stronger the attack, the stronger the counterattack. The only thing that could be used was the saint-tier divine power. However, how many saint-tier divine powers were there in this world? In the beginning, he had used pressure to fight Yunlongya to a draw. He had relied on various methods and the 9 stars in the sky. Now that the other party had used a heaven-defying attack, the rebound force was also displayed. In addition, the terror of the heavenly demon region had devoured a lot of the pressure of the Cloud Dragon Cliff. It had caused Yunlongya to suffer quite a bit. Join forces and kill him. Yunlongya's face was pale, and the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. He shouted at Yuntian and the others. Only he truly understood how terrifying Li Lingtian was. If they fought alone, he would be injured even if he managed to kill Li Lingtian. With his current realm, he did not want to suffer the slightest bit of harm. Now, the only way was to join forces. 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts and 2 ninth heaven martial saints would join forces to kill Li Lingtian. As for the other 9 alchemists, they were like ants and could be wiped out at that time. All right. Yun Tian nodded and his expression turned serious. The few of them had been cultivating together and naturally understood Yun Long Cliff's thoughts. They also knew that Li Lingtian was not an easy opponent. Otherwise, Yun Long Cliff would not have asked them to join forces. After saying that, the 5 super experts erupted with terrifying auras at the same time. Even if the 5 ninth heavenly layer martial saints were not as powerful as the 9th heavenly layer martial saints who had obtained the inheritance from the divine martial hall, they were more or less the same. Moreover, the power of their combined forces was even more terrifying. Li Lingshan's expression froze when he saw the few martial saint powerhouses joining forces. He then turned even more serious. He activated the divine dragon ring with his divine consciousness. The air trembled slightly, and 6 unparalleled girls appeared in the air. Each of them was stunning. Appearing at the same time, it completely made the world lose its color. Moreover, when the 6 girls appeared, everyone was stunned for a moment. They did not expect such a thing to happen in this place. They could bring spatial treasures with them and bring experts with them. Chapter 744, Peak Duel, 1, Please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. However, when they saw the cultivation of the girls, Yunlongya and the others were slightly relieved. Moreover, his evil eyes kept sweeping over the 6 girls. The people who came out were naturally Tang Qingyue and the others. Huangfu Yuyan, Tang Qingyue, Shun Mei Tang Zimeng, Qingling, and Xianyuan Yingying. The 5 of them could cast the 5 elements reincarnation together. Xianyuan Yingying had the 5 elements sacred body, so she could naturally help Li Lingtian. When they joined forces, their power would increase by several times. Big Brother Ling Tian. After Xianyuan Yingying came out and saw the situation in front of her, she was also shocked. She didn't expect there to be a few fake martial god realm experts here. From the looks of it, it was obvious that they were fighting. The terrifying pressure almost destroyed her. She immediately understood that she was in danger. She called out to Li Lingtian, hoping that he could explain the situation. People from Yunfeng Villa, let's join hands and use the 5 elements reincarnation and the 9 heaven stars. Li Lingshan's expression was calm and he did not say anything else. With a simple sentence, he explained the situation before them because they could not afford to delay. In a battle between experts, victory and death were only a matter of seconds. 5 elements reincarnation. Tang Qingyue and the others were aware of the situation before them. They quickly cast the 5 elements reincarnation while Li Lingtian floated up with the 9 heaven stars. Xianyuan Yingying was by Li Lingshan's side. She had the 5 elements sacred body and shared cultivation with Li Lingtian. Naturally, he could ignore the obstruction of the 9 heavenly stars and directly enter the 9 heavenly stars. Tang Qingyue and the others quickly used the 5 elements reincarnation. In an instant, the 5 true essence fused together, and their figures flashed and disappeared into the air. When they reappeared, they had already turned into 5 light shadows. The 5 light shadows started to spin rapidly, circling around the 9 stars in the sky. Xianyuan Yingying saw that Tang Qingyue and the others had also cast the 5 elements reincarnation. She did not dare to be careless at all and cast the 5 elements will in her body as well. Instantly, the stone room was filled with several destructive auras. The 5 elements will displayed by the 2 5 elements sacred bodies, along with the 5 elements reincarnation and the 9 heaven stars. In the air, an independent world filled the place. There were no longer any stars in the 9 skies but a world of fusion. Li Lingtian had completely merged with this world. Boom! The entire process seemed to have taken a long time, but the real time had only passed in the blink of an eye. The combined might of the 5 powerhouses combined to unleash a devastating force that crashed into the 9 skies of stars. At the same time, Li Lingshan's 9 skies of stars also crashed into the 9 skies of stars. The 2 destructive attacks were less than 100 meters apart. This distance was completely different. In an instant, a destructive explosion sounded. The stone room was filled with the aura of destruction, and the terrifying aura of destruction wreaked havoc. The 9 spirit alchemists' eyes were filled with despair. In front of such an attack, even if they were martial saints, they had no way to resist at this moment. He had completely suffered the disaster of the fish pond. Yunlongya's team of 5 formed a halo as well. When the halo clashed with Li Lingshan's 9 heavenly stars, the 2 halos trembled continuously. It was impossible to determine the victor at that moment. Pfft! The sound of blood spurting out could be heard as Nangongyu spat out a mouthful of blood. He could no longer endure the tearing of such an aura. Soon after, the other spirit alchemists also met the same fate. Their eyes were filled with despair, and traces of blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. Li Lingtian and Xianyuan Yingying's expressions were extremely grave. It was their first time encountering such a powerful opponent. Even when they met the martial god previously, they had never felt so uncomfortable. Last time, he had been directly defeated. Now, the feeling of being in a stalemate with the other party was really uncomfortable. Tang Qingyue and the others were nowhere to be seen in the starry sky. Similarly, Yunlongya's group of 5 who were on the other side did not look pleased either. They never expected that Li Lingtian, who was only a 9th-level martial emperor, could achieve such power when he joined forces with a few martial honors and martial emperors. If this kind of power was used to deal with a fake martial god, the outcome would have been decided long ago. In fact, it might even have killed the fake martial god. Among the 5 of them, there were 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts and 2 9th firmament martial saints. Even if they were not a match for a martial god realm expert, they could still fight him head-on. However, even in the face of such heaven-defying power, he was still unable to defeat a martial monarch realm expert. Moreover, it was hard to say who would win or lose. They had no confidence in defeating their opponent. Gradually, their opponent's 9 stars in the sky gave them a feeling that they were invincible. Kacha! The air in the stone room exploded, and the space seemed to be torn apart. The halo of the 9 heavenly stars came crashing down. The expressions of Yunlongya and the other 5 changed drastically. In front of the 9 heavenly stars, even if the 5 of them were 9th heavenly layer martial saints, they would still be crushed. The shock in his heart could not be recovered. He never expected that a 9th-level martial emperor would be able to display such power with an almighty technique. He now understood that Li Lingtian was not lucky enough to unify Moonsong Kingdom and establish the Carefree Dynasty as a level 4 martial emperor. With the power of the 9 skies of stars, even a martial god powerhouse would not be able to withstand it easily. Crash! The space was completely shattered, and the yin and yang energy in the entire stone room erupted at this moment. The 9 spirit alchemists had already vanished into thin air. They were all martial saints, but they were like ants in front of the terrifying pressure of the 9 stars in the sky. The light of the 9 stars in the sky quickly crushed towards the 5 people of Yunlongya. The 5 people had already retreated to the wall of the stone room, to the point where they could not retreat. 5 elements sacred body. At the same time, Li Lingtian, who was in the 9 skies of stars, let out a soft cry. The 5 elements sacred body was activated and the 5 elements will erupted. The stone chamber was no longer an independent world, nor was it the 9 skies of stars like a domain. He was the master of this world. In this world, everything in the world disappeared under his will. Xianyuan Yingying's will of the 5 elements also appeared in the stars in the 9 heavens at this time. The 2 of them were dual cultivators and both had the 5 elements sacred bodies. The will of the 5 elements was the same. Under the combined use of cultivation, the 5 elements Tao intent in the 9 heavenly stars had reached the critical point of perfection. The fusion of the 9 heaven stars and the 5 elements reincarnation was unleashed to the extreme at this moment. Boom! In the hall, there was a deafening explosion. The entire hall vanished into thin air at that moment. Li Lingtian soared into the sky from the stars in the 9 skies and vanished into thin air. Walala! The sound of seawater was heard as Li Lingtian plunged into the icy Yin River. In the Yin River, endless nether chi continued to erode him. Li Lingtian was shocked when he realized that he was in the Yin River. The stars in the 9 skies had disappeared, along with Xianyuan Yingying and the others. Lingtian. At this moment, a voice sounded. It was Tang Qingyu's familiar voice. Hearing Tang Qingyu's voice, he was instantly nervous and excited. In the Yin River, even his defense was unable to withstand it, so Tang Qingyue and the others were even more so. Now that Tang Qingyue and the others were safe, he felt a little relieved. He extended his divine sense and found Tang Genji and the others together. Moreover, the 5 elements reincarnation was not affected by the Yin River. The 5 of them floated in the Yin River, and the water of the Yin River swirled around them. At this moment, Xianyuan Yingying appeared beside him. Seeing that his 6 wives were fine, he was completely relieved. No matter what kind of danger happened, as long as his family was safe by his side, it was fine. This is the Yin River. Let's find a place to get out first. Li Lingtian looked at the dark water of the Yin River with a grave expression. He quickly came before Tang Qingyue and the others and activated the true dragon body barrier to block the corrosive force. Alright, let's swim up. Maybe we can get out. Huangfu Yuyan nodded. She was about to swim upwards when Li Lingtian stopped her. You guys enter the divine dragon ring. I'll go up alone. My defense is stronger than yours. Li Lingtian said earnestly. After that, he activated the divine dragon ring with his divine consciousness. Huangfu Yuyan and the others did not hesitate after activating the divine dragon ring. It was more convenient for Li Lingtian to be alone in this place. With Li Lingshan's strength and some heaven-defying means, the Yin River water would not be able to harm him. Besides, the Devil Tribe's cultivation method had a strong resistance against the Yin River's water. Li Lingtian cultivated the Saint Devil's quintessence, so even if he did not unleash it, he would not be able to resist the Yin River's water. The might of the true Saint Demon record would be unleashed instinctively. As the Yin River water rippled, Huangfu Yuyan and the others disappeared. When they reappeared, they had already entered the divine dragon ring. Li Lingtian felt completely at ease after everything was done. He circulated his true essence and activated the true dragon body protection to the extreme. His body flashed and he swam up like a fish in the water. Hush! His heart skipped a beat. After swimming for a few minutes, he was still in the Yin River. He didn't expect the haul to be so deep into the Ain River. With his cultivation and speed, he swam up 100 miles. However, he still did not see anything else, let alone leave the Ain River. Boom! At this moment, a muffled sound was heard. Among the 5 elemental Tao wills, the Tao will of water was the strongest. Li Ling Tian could survive in the Ain River because he had mastered the Tao will of water. In the Ain River, he could sense any movement. However, his divine sense could only extend to 2 miles away. He could not know anything beyond 2 miles. This muffled sound also came from afar. Moreover, this muffled sound carried a threatening aura. Such a threatening aura could only be sensed by an expert. Umbra Beast! Li Ling Tian cried out in his heart. He did not expect there to be Umbra Beasts in the Ain River. This place was ruled by Umbra Beasts and an outsider like him would only face death. I recommend the new book, Ancient Sage Myriad Ancient King. I welcome everyone to read and save it. I also want to vote for it. The new book needs everyone's support. Only with everyone's support can the new book go further. Chapter 745, Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch, 1, please reading Omicron N's novel. Omicron M. He had encountered the Umbra Beast in the Divine Martial Hall the last time. The Abyssal Beast's cultivation had also reached the strength of a pseudo-martial god. Even a few 9th heavenly layer martial saints were not its match. Now, the Umbra Beast was like a fish in water in its territory. It was indeed not a good thing to encounter an Umbra Beast here. Whoosh! His figure was like lightning as he quickly swam into the distance. In a place like this, even if you concealed your aura, the Umbra Beast would still be able to sense it. Li Ling Tian would not be so foolish. The only thing he could do now was hope that the Umbra Beast's speed was not as fast as his. If the Umbra Beast caught up to him, it would be even more difficult than dealing with the pseudo-martial god. However, just as he sped up, his expression became solemn. Because the Ain River water around him seemed to be confined, it was as if he had entered a swamp. It was impossible for him to swim quickly. It was obvious that this change came from the Umbra Beast. The Umbra Beast had already discovered him. It had used some kind of mysterious innate technique to imprison the water of the Ain River, slowing down the expert's speed. Roar! Behind him, the infernal beast's roars continued to ring out, and they were getting closer and closer. The expression on Li Lingshan's face kept changing as he tried to think of a solution as he swam. At that moment, Li Ling Tian looked at the ring on his left hand. The underworld ring was something he had obtained in Jiuyoming City last time. He had also obtained a few treasures, but he had a conflict with the underworld's items, so he had not used them. Now that they were in the Ain River and there were still abyssal beasts chasing after them, they thought of the underworld divine ring. There were treasures in the underworld ring. Together with the underworld ring, they were the 6 treasures of the underworld. However, Li Ling Tian did not use any of these treasures. He did not even know what they were used for. With a flick of his divine sense, he sent it into the underworld divine ring. Although he didn't use the underworld ring, the moment he put it on his finger, the entire ring was connected to him. He had never taken it off. Moreover, Li Ling Tian had also stored some items that he deemed unclean into the underworld ring. It wasn't difficult to open the underworld ring now. After entering the underworld ring, the first thing his divine sense saw was that domineering weapon. It was extremely domineering. There was no aura on it, but it gave off an aura that could destroy the world. It was 3 feet long and as wide as a palm. A gray crystal was embedded in the handle. Crimson Light Heavenly Emperor. The underworld super divine weapon was known as the #1 divine weapon in the underworld. Its offensive power was extremely terrifying. In the netherworld, the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch was the most powerful weapon in terms of offensive power. Furthermore, Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch had hidden Ain flames in his body. It could double the strength of his attacks, but the consumption was unbearable. When he unleashed Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light's attack, his master's quintessential essence consumption was 5 times that of usual. In other words, Li Lingshan's consumption of quintessential essence was 5 times that of the Heavenly Monarch Crimson Lights when he cast the Heaven Sword Unity. With his current cultivation and heaven-defying methods, he would not have to use up all his true essence 3 or 4 times to use the Heaven Sword Unity. With his current cultivation, it was impossible for him to unleash Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light. Sure. Out of the 5 treasures, Li Lingtian only found Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light to be slightly more pleasing to the eye. Furthermore, at this moment, Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light was the only one who was slightly reliable. When his consciousness came into contact with Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light, he knew of his power and conditions. After learning the intensity of the vital essence consumption of Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light, he heaved a sigh of relief. With his cultivation base, it was impossible for him to use Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light normally. Even if it was forcefully used, it was impossible to achieve double the attack. Moreover, after one move, he would be injured and his true essence would be exhausted. Roar! At that moment, the threat of destruction loomed over them. A terrifying nether energy with a force that could crush the heavens and earth came crashing down on Li Lingtian. The speed and power were beyond Li Lingshan's imagination. He had never expected that this Umbra beast would be so terrifying. It was even stronger than the Umbra beast he had encountered in the Divine Martial Hall. Boom! With a loud bang in his mind, his entire body was blasted out by the destructive and terrifying nether chi. However, his body couldn't move, as if he was trapped in space. If he could be thrown out in front of this attack, he could reduce the power of the attack. However, now that he was trapped in the air, it was as if he was tied up and attacked. Pfft! He spat out a mouthful of blood. In his line of sight, a black mass was pressing down on him. The huge black object was as powerful as a mountain range in the middle of the night, and the aura of destruction assaulted his face. The aura was about to crush Li Lingtian into pieces. Roar! With another roar, a huge mouth appeared on the huge black object. The mouth was 10 meters wide, like a black hole that swallowed the sky. Looking at the situation before him, Li Lingtian was no longer depressed. It was already impossible to escape. Only his divine sense could be used. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. Li Lingshan's expression turned resolute as a cruel smile appeared on his lips. With a flick of his divine consciousness, Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light was summoned. This Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch had never been refined before, but he could use it forcefully. Although its power was not as strong as it was at its peak and he could not control it, if he did not retaliate now, he would be devoured by the Umbra beast. Even if he was injured, he could not care so much at this time. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch appeared in front of him. Immediately, a destructive Een flame appeared above Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. However, this Een flame was as terrifying as any supreme flame. It did not have the slightest bit of softness. It was like an ultimate existence, like the 9 yang sacred flame. Faint flames flickered around Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light. Instantly, the Een River's water began to tremble. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch was a supreme treasure of the netherworld and had the same attribute as the Een River. The Een River would naturally sense it when it encountered a supreme treasure. At the same time, the Umbra beast sensed the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's presence, and its massive body could not help but tremble. However, at this moment, Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch had already turned into a shooting star and shot towards the Umbra beast. The Een River's water was blasted open by the endless Een Fire Cave, and it slammed into the Umbra beast's body. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out. The Een River trembled, and the huge Umbra beast was thrown out. Li Lingshan's expression changed drastically as a look of horror appeared in his eyes. All the primeval essence in his body was used up, and his mind was shaken. Furthermore, he had never expected Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light to be so fast. It was so fast that it was beyond his imagination. When quintessential essence appeared, Heavenly Monarch Crimson Light burst forth with destructive speed and power. He passed through the Ain River's water as if he could ignore space itself. The only divine skill in the world that could not be broken was speed. Speed could increase the power of attacks. Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's power was a good example of how terrifying and powerful the Umbra Beast was. He did not expect it to be blasted away by Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch's power. This speed could break through all obstacles in space. Roar! Roar! The Umbra Beast's miserable cry came from afar. It was extremely furious, but towards the end, there was a hint of fear in its voice. As a sound beast of the Netherworld, it was naturally afraid of Netherworld treasures like Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. Now, he was deeply afraid of the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch in Li Lingshan's hands. The sound grew fainter and fainter. From the sound, Li Lingtian knew that the Umbra Beast had left. After putting away the Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch in his hand, Li Lingshan's figure flashed once again and he swam up quickly. Time flew by quickly. After swimming for an unknown distance, Li Lingtian felt that something was amiss. The closer he swam to the wall, the denser and colder the Ain River water became. Moreover, the pressure was getting greater and greater, as if it was going to crush him to death. No! Li Lingtian stopped as the expression on his face changed. In the end, he confirmed that he had gone in the wrong direction. The Ain River was in existence in the Netherworld, so it was naturally different from the world above. The higher he went, the more he went in the wrong direction. This was the opposite of what he had expected. He hadn't thought of this problem in the beginning. As the pressure increased, he also understood some things about the underworld. In this Ain River without any light, it was impossible to know where the sky was and where the earth was. At that thought, Li Lingtian changed his direction and swam down quickly. There was a hall not far from the Yunfeng Villa Square. This hall was obviously not the one from the beginning. In the hall, 6 or 7 experts were gathered together. However, a dense dark green aura surrounded them, making them look extremely strange. Moreover, 5 of them had faint traces of blood at the corners of their mouths. Their expressions were extremely terrifying. I didn't expect that guy to be so powerful. Indeed, these injured experts were Yun Longya and the others who were refining pills in the main hall of the Ain River. When they were about to give Li Lingtian their final blow, the combined power of the 9 heaven stars and the 5 of them clashed. However, Li Lingtian was unaware that there was a mechanism in the Grand Hall. The 5 of them left the Grand Hall at the last moment while Li Lingtian was dragged into the Ain River. The 5 of them had returned to the ground, but their hands were not shallow either. If he was injured at this time, it would undoubtedly add insult to injury if he wanted to break through to the martial god realm. They hated Li Lingtian to the bone. They had initially planned to join forces to kill the people inside so that they would not be injured. However, they never expected Li Lingshan's terrifying methods to nearly kill them. A huge shadow formed in his heart. No matter how heaven-defying a 9th-level martial emperor was, he was not a match for a martial saint. Moreover, they were 9th heavenly layer martial saints and pseudo-martial god realm experts who had joined forces. In the end, they were still forced to this step. If it was not for the fact that they had the geographical advantage, they would have been killed by the 9 heaven stars. In the hearts of the 5 of them, the 9 stars in the sky was undoubtedly a terrifying word. In the future, when they heard these words, they would definitely tremble. Chapter 746, Spirit Pressure in the Milky Way, 1, Yes, I am. I didn't expect a martial emperor powerhouse to be so powerful. Even when we joined forces, we were almost defeated. If we were to fight him alone, none of us would be his match. Fortunately, he entered the Ain River. In the Yin River, he will never be able to come up. Yun Zongshan's expression was one of shock as well. His eyes were filled with fear and dread. However, when he thought about how Li Lingtian had been dragged into the Yin River, his heart calmed down slightly. The thought of the situation at that time was frightening. If it were not for Li Lingshan's 9 heavenly stars that had burst the stone chamber in the main hall, they would have perished if he had entered the Yin River. However, we still have to cultivate quickly and strive for a breakthrough. This way, we will have a greater chance of fighting against the entire Black Continent. The issue with Li Lingtian has been resolved. I never expected Li Lingtian to come to Yunfeng Villa this time. This saves us the trouble of going to Carefree Dynasty. If we were there, we would be the ones to die. Once he enters the Yin River, he won't be able to get out. He will also be devoured by the sound beasts. Even if the sound beasts don't devour him, he will be trapped inside forever. Yunmeng Mountain didn't see the situation at that time, but seeing that the main hall was gone, he could imagine how Kenlai looked at that time. However, he had no idea how powerful Li Lingtian was or how powerful a martial supreme could be. Now that the reincarnation pill had been refined, the main thing was to cultivate first and strive for a breakthrough in a short period of time. Then, he would sweep across the entire Black Continent and unify it. Li Lingshan's incident had become history. Let's be careful. This Li Lingtian is too strange. This injury won't allow us to break through in a short period of time. After Daozi recovers, we'll set up a formation. That way, even if something happens, it won't affect our cultivation. Yun Tian looked at Master Cloud Dao. Master Cloud Dao was his blood brother, but his cultivation base was much higher than his. In the Yunfeng Villa, Master Cloud Dao's status was extremely high. Even his brothers of the same generation didn't dare to provoke him. After all, Master Cloud Dao was a saint alchemist and a saint array master. Moreover, he was a pseudo-martial god. Even his brothers would not dare to offend such a powerful figure. I'll cultivate for a few days first and my injuries should be able to recover. After I've recovered, I'll construct a formation. I'm still worried about Li Lingtian. Because his alchemy Dao and array Dao are both above mine. If he breaks through that Yin River, we won't be able to deal with him when he comes back. Master Cloud Dao nodded with a cold expression. As he spoke, his expression turned grave. Li Lingtian was a holy array master, a holy alchemist, and possessed powerful and mysterious methods. He was not to be underestimated. Even though he was thrown into the Yin River, he still felt uneasy unless he witnessed Li Lingshan's death with his own eyes. Daozi, do you think Li Lingtian can break through the Yin River? Yunmeng Mountain's expression turned grave. He understood what Master Cloud Dao meant. Master Cloud Dao's cultivation base and methods were heaven-defying in the Yunfeng Villa. Even in the entire Mystic Moon Empire, very few people could compare. The current situation was definitely not simple. He was also wary. If Li Lingtian was really that powerful, it would be troublesome. If Li Lingtian were to break through the Yin River, the entire Yunfeng Villa would be doomed. He was the only one who understood the importance of the Yin River below the Yunfeng Villa. The Yunfeng Villa was located in the Yunfeng mountain range. It had a radius of 1,000,000 miles and was rich in spiritual energy. There was also an endless spiritual vein below, but this spiritual vein was connected to the Yin River. If someone broke through the Yin River, the spirit vein of the entire Yunfeng Villa would disappear, and the foundation of the Yunfeng Villa would be finished. Furthermore, countless geniuses of the Yun family and all the experts would disappear into thin air. That's right. This Li Lingtian gives me a very mysterious feeling. He doesn't seem like someone from this world at all. His methods are heaven-defying, and his thoughts and ideas are beyond anyone in the divine martial continent. His aura, though not heaven-defying and overbearing, gives off a vague sense of threat. Moreover, I also discovered that he has the presence of an ancient aura. It's not just one type, but many types. I'm the only one who can sense this aura. If it's any other expert, even a martial god or someone above him wouldn't be able to sense it. Master Cloud Dao's expression was serious, and his words stunned the other supreme experts. Such a thing was simply unimaginable and unbelievable. However, this was coming from Master Cloud Dao. With his status, cultivation base, strength, and methods, there was no need for him to lie. If that was really the case, Yunfeng Villa was really in trouble this time. However, it had already happened and they could not stop him. The only thing they could do was to wait for Li Lingtian to die in the Yin River. Once he died, everything would be in the past. All the things that he was worried about could be settled. Why don't we seal the spirit vein for a period of time? We don't need to cultivate during this period of time and focus on healing. In 2 days, even if Li Lingtian is a god, he will be corroded and destroyed by the Yin River's water. Yunling looked at Mount Yunmeng. Although Master Cloud Dao had the highest status here, Mount Yunmeng was still the most influential. That's a good idea, but we have to be careful. The Yin River will fluctuate whenever there's a spirit qi. Li Lingtian will also notice the spirit qi fluctuation. Master Cloud Dao didn't wait for Cloud Mist Mountain to speak, and he quickly brought it up. The spirit vein's spirit qi was extremely terrifying. It could even suppress the Yin River. If the spirit vein was sealed, it would definitely alarm the Yin River. Naturally, Li Lingtian, who was in the Yin River, would be able to sense it. Alright, let's be careful. It's best if we don't let Li Lingtian know. Yunmeng Mountain nodded, then left the hall and walked towards the deep mountains behind the square. Li Lingtian swam back and forth in the Yin River for a long time, but he could not find any exit. Moreover, no matter which direction he went, the pressure would only increase in the end. As time passed, the true essence in his body was also rapidly depleting. The true essence of a heaven-defying pill had already been consumed by more than half. In this place, he didn't dare to use the devouring light in case he couldn't refine the Yin nether qi he devoured. The expression on his face grew uglier and uglier. He was already injured in the beginning, but he was on the verge of breaking down when he forcefully used Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. However, he did not dare to relax at all at this moment. He continued to soak in the Yin River, unable to find the right direction. At that moment, Li Lingshan's expression changed as he exclaimed in surprise. His eyes shone brightly. He looked into the distance, but he couldn't see far in the Yin River. However, at this moment, a trace of light appeared in the Yin River. This light was very small and very fast. It flashed and disappeared. It was not easy to notice as Li Lingtian had only discovered the halo by accident. This halo looked extremely strange in the Yin River because the Yin River was filled with pitch-black nether qi. However, this halo was indeed extremely rich in spiritual qi. It was no different from spirit pressure. It was just that this halo was too small and inconspicuous in the Yin River. Spirit pressure, it's actually spirit pressure. At that moment, Li Lingtian was certain that the halo was spirit pressure. This was because the heavenly spiritual pearl on his chest had already trembled. This heavenly spiritual pearl was a spiritual item of heaven and earth. Although he did not know what use it had, it was very sensitive to spiritual energy. Coupled with his understanding of spirit pressure, he was certain that this halo was real spirit pressure. This was also the research he had done on the spirit pressure after encountering it in the bottomless abyss. He did not expect to discover this spirit pressure now. Since there was spiritual pressure, there was definitely more than just the water of the Yin River. There were other auras. As long as he could find the source of this spiritual pressure, he would be able to find clues. At the thought of this, his tired body became spirited again. His figure flashed and he quickly chased after the spirit pressure that had disappeared. The speed of the spirit pressure was beyond the imagination of the powerhouses. However, if the other powerhouses were to find out that Li Lingtian was chasing after the spirit pressure, their jaws would drop. However, Li Lingtian managed to catch up to the spirit pressure because it was just a halo and a very small one at that. While the Yin River's water was continuously split into two by the destructive aura. When it was 100 meters in front of Li Lingtian, the Yin River's water was split apart by the power of the 5 elements. It could not slow Li Lingtian down at all. Rumble. 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 After flying for an unknown period of time, Li Lingtian was truly exhausted this time. Finally, they arrived at a region of destruction. The water of the Yin River in this place was constantly churning, and a terrifying spiritual pressure appeared. The further they flew, the stronger the spiritual pressure became. Whoosh! He didn't dare to fly forward anymore, nor did he have the strength to fly. His body floated in the Yin River. At this moment, he was no longer soaking in the water of the Yin River. Instead, he was floating in the spirit pressure and Yin River. It was like a place where spiritual energy and demonic energy intersected, just like a place where ice and fire were compatible. This was also Li Lingtian. If it were any other powerhouse, they would have been destroyed by the spirit pressure and the Yin River water. This was because there were two extremes and two extreme attributes. However, Li Lingtian had cultivated the heaven and earth reincarnation art, the ice-fire harmony, and all sorts of heaven-defying techniques. Hence, he was not afraid of this extreme attribute at all. However, his eyes were filled with endless excitement and shock. In the distance, there was a spirit vein. At the intersection of the spirit vein and the water of the Yin River, the spiritual qi was powerful and terrifying, and then it formed a spirit pressure. If he could take away the spiritual energy, he would be able to increase the spiritual energy in the divine dragon ring and cultivate faster. He completely immersed himself in the world of spiritual energy and did not care about his current situation at all. Chapter 747, 3 Spirit Mountains. The terrifying spiritual pressure kept spinning like a whirlpool in the sea. The water of the Yin River was also cut by the spiritual pressure here, forming an independent space in the middle. Li Lingtian hovered in the independent space as he looked excitedly at the terrifying spirit pressure. This spirit pressure was no longer the spirit pressure halo that he had been chasing after. That was because the halo had already fused into this world of spiritual pressure. What a terrifying spirit vein! It should be good to store this spirit vein in the divine dragon ring. Li Lingtian looked at the terrifying spirit pressure and a faint smile appeared on his face. This smile was the same as before. It was the smile of wanting to take everything for himself. It was the same smile when he collected materials and heavenly materials and earthly treasures. There were a few powerful and heaven-defying interspatial rings. These interspatial rings were the most powerful independent worlds in this world. Naturally, they could store countless treasures, and so could spiritual energy. From the beginning to the end, he wasn't worried about leaving the Yin River. With such powerful spiritual pressure and spiritual veins, he could completely create a heaven-defying array formation. An array that can pass through barriers, space-breaking divine array. As long as there was strong spiritual energy, as long as one found a critical point, the formation would be able to break through the barrier and pass through space. The premise was that he had to find a breakthrough point. If he could not find a breakthrough point, even the space-breaking divine array could not do anything. Moreover, there was a powerful spirit vein here. The location of the spirit vein was not far from the ground. Therefore, the moment he saw the spirit pressure, he had already seen hope. Heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation. The smile on Li Lingtian's face slowly calmed down. His body flashed once again as he quickly circled around the spirit pressure to check. However, after searching for a long time, he still could not find the end of this spirit pressure. Naturally, he could not find the place where the spirit vein was. At the thought of this, he became even more excited because this world of spirit pressure was even stronger than the world of spirit pressure in the bottomless abyss. The spirit energy vein was even richer than that place. Tang Qingyue and the others would be able to cultivate even faster after storing the spiritual energy into the divine dragon ring. In the end, they stopped and found a better place to start building the array. He took out the divine array diagram, and a stream of light flashed between his eyebrows. A golden light flashed in front of him. The golden radiance transformed into a divine array diagram before Li Lingtian. Although there was an independent space in this place, he was worried that it would be eroded by the Yin River water when the spiritual energy was taken away. He wanted to build a formation here, a formation that could stop the water of the Yin River. This way, he could take away the spiritual energy and spirit vein before the water of the Yin River took advantage of the situation. Whoosh! 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 A strong gust of wind shuttled through the independent space created by the Yin River water and spirit pressure. Li Lingtian's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light and he wore a serious expression. His 10 fingers moved as he executed many hand seals. All the hand seals landed on the divine array diagram. On the divine array diagram, a faint light shadow gradually formed. This light shadow became denser and denser. Looking closely, the light shadow was a mysterious array. There were also traces of ancient and magnificent aura on the array formation. This was the power and characteristics of the divine array. Seal. A full minute had passed. Within that 1 minute, Li Lingtian had performed countless mysterious hand seals. The spell formed a net. When the last spell fell, the divine array trembled and a beam of light shot out. After the pillar of light appeared, a magnificent array appeared before Li Lingtian. The array formation gave off a faint golden light. It was a defensive array formation that specialized in blocking Yin Nether Qi. It was a god-level array formation. Li Lingtian had no intention of stopping even after the heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation was activated. Instead, he activated the other defensive formations. Many formations of different sizes stood behind the heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation. These formations were all connected to each other. As long as there was the slightest touch, they would release heaven-defying power. When all the formations were combined, their power increased greatly. After casting more than 300 formations, Li Lingtian was so exhausted that he almost collapsed. However, he did not dare to lie down at this time. Moreover, there was an array below, so he could not easily activate the array. In this Yin River, if one couldn't see the spirit vein, one couldn't see the ground. It was filled with pitch-black Yin River water. Fortunately, the spiritual energy was rich, and it recovered very quickly. In a moment, the consumed true essence and mental energy were restored to their peak. Li Lingtian opened his eyes after his true essence was restored. The divine dragon ring was opened. Immediately, a wisp of consciousness entered the divine dragon ring. He explained everything that had happened outside. If he were to encounter any danger, he had to be prepared to leave the divine dragon ring at once. Because the spiritual pressure was too terrifying, he was worried that he would not be able to control it with his cultivation. If there was any danger, he would call Tang Qingyue and the others out immediately. The dragon qi in the divine dragon ring was from the 3,000 worlds, and there was already endless spiritual energy in it. With the spiritual pressure and spiritual energy, the divine dragon ring was even more powerful. Of course, if he couldn't control it well, the divine dragon ring would release a terrifying and mysterious effect. He didn't dare to imagine such an effect, nor did he want to wait for it to happen. After he finished his instructions, he activated his divine consciousness. The divine dragon ring released a powerful and terrifying suction force, absorbing the endless spiritual qi into the divine dragon ring. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sound of wind was heard as spirit chi and spirit pressure continued to flow into the divine dragon ring. Li Lingtian was also advancing step by step. Just like that, half a day had passed. In half a day, Li Lingtian was already 100 miles away from the array, but the spirit pressure seemed to be endless. However, this was a world of spiritual energy, so it did not consume his true essence. However, as the spiritual pressure was taken away, the Ain River water began to tremble, and the heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation also began to tremble. At this moment, the heaven and earth flight prohibiting formation was like the embankment of a dam. As long as the dam was destroyed, the endless destructive flood would rush over. This was the Ain River, so it was naturally not an ordinary river. If the Ain River water rushed over, he would have no way to resist at all. The only way now was to quickly take away the spiritual pressure, spiritual energy this place. When the time came, he would establish a space-breaking divine array to leave this place. Otherwise, there was no other way. Rumble. Li Lingtian did not know how much time had passed, but he could no longer remember. Because he had been absorbing the spiritual energy and pressure at a faster speed, he had completely forgotten the time. The spiritual pressure continued to enter the divine dragon ring. At this moment, a destructive roar sounded. Li Lingshan's body swayed in the air as a look of horror appeared in his eyes. This shocked expression turned into excitement, because in the distance, there were actually 3 huge mountains. 3 huge mountains were nothing, but the main thing was that these 3 mountains were filled with 5-colored spiritual energy. 5-colored spirit stones, Spirit Stone Mountain Range. In other words, the 3 mountain peaks were formed by spirit stones. The 3 spirit stone mountain peaks were 100 meters tall and 10,000 meters wide. They looked huge but exquisite. The destructive spiritual pressure was emitted from the 3 spiritual mountains, and there was a mysterious connection between the 3 spiritual mountains. Loyalty was a seal, and the seal connected the 3 spiritual mountains together. The seal carried a mysterious and destructive pressure. Even though Li Lingtian was well informed, he had no impression of the spirit mountain and the seal. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. The terrifying spiritual pressure and the terrifying rumbling sound were like the wrath of the gods. Li Lingtian seemed insignificant in the face of the destructive roar. In front of Spirited Mountain, he was like an ant. This feeling made him feel uncomfortable and unconvinced. Freezing Sky Altar. Li Lingtian activated his divine consciousness and summoned the Freezing Sky Altar. However, the look on his face turned even more unsightly after he summoned the Freezing Sky Altar. He could not control the Freezing Sky Altar at all. It would be strenuous even if he were to summon the detective god from the divine dragon ring. The Freezing Sky God Altar was extremely powerful. It could withstand terrifying pressure and attacks. It was also a destructive treasure. A mountain-like Freezing Sky God Altar appeared in front of him and finally blocked the destructive spiritual pressure. However, the Freezing Sky God Altar continued to tremble. Li Lingtian was beyond shocked. The Freezing Sky Altar weighed billions of pounds. Even a martial god would be crushed to death. There was nothing that could destroy or shake it. However, at this moment, it was shaken by the spiritual pressure. One could imagine how powerful this spiritual pressure and spiritual mountain were. After finishing everything, he finally had the time and opportunity to explore the spiritual mountain in front of him. The spirit mountains were all triangular in shape. They were completely neat peaks without any cracks. In other words, these 3 spirit mountains were all carved from complete spirit stones. He did not know who was so generous or who had such powerful means to actually create such a large 3 spiritual mountains. The spirit mountain was shocked. The main thing was that the seal between the spirit mountains was mysterious. He did not know what kind of cultivation technique or skill it was. A mysterious symbol appeared on the seal. Li Lingtian felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity when he saw the symbol. However, he could not remember where he had seen this symbol before. It was unfamiliar but had a hint of familiarity. He did not know when he had seen it before. What a powerful seal! What a terrifying spiritual mountain! It seems that as long as I break this seal and move the spiritual mountain away, I can leave this place. Li Lingshan's eyes were filled with shock. Based on his array Dao cultivation, he could imagine that he would be able to leave this place as long as he moved away this spirited mountain. However, before he could shake the spirit mountain, he had to break that seal. That seal wasn't an array formation. He didn't know if it was a divine power or some strange method. It was so easy to break it. Even if he wanted to break the array, he had to first understand the construction and origin of this array. Moreover, he was going to break this mysterious seal. If he was not careful, he might even be suppressed here or even destroyed. Chapter 748, Breaking Through the Yin River. 1. Li Lingtian fell into deep thought as he looked at the three spirited mountains and the seal between them. This place might be the key to leaving the Yin River, or perhaps the only way out. He had to think of a way to get rid of the spiritual mountains. He had moved the freezing sky god altar away in the past. The weight of these three spiritual mountains was probably not much different from the freezing sky god altar. However, there was a seal between the three spiritual mountains. If he wanted to move the spiritual mountains, he had to get rid of this seal. He didn't know where this seal came from, so he couldn't move it away even if he wanted to. Could it be that this seal is the Great Bright King's seal, the immovable golden body seal? Li Lingtian thought of all the mudras in his mind but none of them resembled this one. Just as he was feeling depressed, he thought of the underworld's Da Neng De Ming Wang. The Great Bright King was an elite of the netherworld and also an elite of the upper realm. This person was the most mysterious person in the three middle realms in his previous life. He was both the netherworld and the mortal world. His cultivation base was extremely terrifying. Even in the upper realm, he was a supreme existence. In Li Lingshan's previous life, he was aware of the existence of the Great Bright Lord. However, the distance between the two was too far apart and they had no interaction at all. He thought about how the Great Bright Lord was from the underworld and the human realm, and how they were now in the Yin River. The appearance of such a seal and spiritual mountain reminded him of the Great Bright Lord's immovable golden body seal. The immovable golden body seal was known to be a powerful divine power that surpassed the saint-tier. Its power was heaven-defying, powerful, and incomparably magical. It had already surpassed the scope of strength. If it was really this immovable golden body seal, then he would really be in trouble this time. The Great Bright Lord's cultivation was remarkable, and his methods were equally shocking. Even if this seal was cast by him countless years ago, it would not be so easy to break it now. Sigh, I didn't expect it to be the immovable golden body seal. Li Lingtian was hoping that the dermic seal did not belong to the great Maharaja. However, after thinking for a long time, he could only attribute this seal to the Great Bright King. Only the Great Bright King had such a heaven-defying seal. The thing he was most worried about had happened. It was simply impossible to break this seal. Next, Li Lingtian collected all the spirit qi and spirit pressure around the spirited mountain. In the end, he floated in the air and looked at the spirit mountain. His mind entered a state of emptiness, wanting to find a way to break through the realm. Divine Array Diagram, Sacrifice. He took out the Divine Array Diagram again, and his eyes revealed a solemn expression. Ignorance was bliss. However, he knew how terrifying this seal was, so he felt afraid and restrained when he did things. If he didn't know about this seal in the past, he wouldn't have acted so easily and wouldn't have been so afraid. But now, even if he was afraid, he had to make a move. He had never thought that such a torturous day would come. Whoosh! Whoosh! One after another, a formation was formed on the divine formation diagram. The 5-element star array was one of the divine arrays. With his current array Tao cultivation, it was already heaven-defying to cast a divine array. Even though he knew that this seal could not be broken by a divine array, he still had to try. Boom! There was an explosion. Before the array formation entered the spirited mountain, the destructive seal emitted a ray of light, which directly destroyed the array formation into nothingness. Li Lingshan's body trembled as a trace of blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. His face was pale as a sheet. He was the one who cast the array. The array was destroyed in an instant, and the one who was injured was naturally him. At that moment, the divine level formation was destroyed in an instant. Li Lingtian was shocked. What a terrifying seal! He exclaimed in his heart. Although he recognized the origin of this seal, he still did not expect it to be so powerful and terrifying. For a moment, he did not have the slightest confidence. His body flashed, and he quickly retreated a certain distance. He floated in the air and recuperated from his injuries. After recuperating from his injuries, he returned to where he started. His eyes sized up the seal. Since this was the key to suppressing the spirited mountain, the seal must be related to this spirited mountain. It would be best if he could think of a way to subdue the seal. If he had a powerful attack to destroy it, he would definitely be courting death. He was just a mere martial monarch realm expert. Fighting against the seal of an ancient expert was courting death. This immovable golden body seal is somewhat similar to the heaven-flipping seal. Li Lingtian calmed down and studied the immobility golden body mudra carefully. Gradually, he realized that this mudra was similar to the sky-turning mudra. Following that, Li Lingtian continued to comprehend his heaven-up seal and slowly began to comprehend this dermic seal as if it was the heaven-up seal. Akalanatha golden body seal. Li Lingshan's expression changed from shock to excitement to solemnity as he shouted softly. A strange hand gesture was performed and a strange aura appeared between Li Lingshan's hands. Instantly, the entire Yin River independent space began to tremble. At the same time, the seals on the 3 spiritual mountains trembled as if they had sensed something. Li Lingshan's lips curled into a smile when he saw this. This seal was indeed the same as the heaven-flipping seal. It was just that the cultivation method was different and the power was different. However, it was the same as the heaven-flipping seal in comprehending the truth of heaven and earth. Gradually, the immovable golden body dermic mudra trembled rapidly and slowly merged with Li Lingshan's hand gesture. Boom! At that moment, the dermic mudra left the 3 spirited mountains and turned into a beam of golden light that shot toward Li Lingtian. Before Li Lingtian could react, the golden light had already entered his glabella. He did not feel anything at all. He could only sense the existence of the golden light in his upper dantian. He did not feel uncomfortable at all. However, Li Lingtian did not have the time to hesitate at this point. Because the 3 spiritual mountains expanded the moment the seal left, the 3 spiritual mountains that were originally 2 meters in size became more than 100 times larger at this time. Li Lingtian was also sent flying by the spirit mountain that grew in size in an instant. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Without waiting for any response, the 3 spirit mountains blasted into the sky at an incredible speed. The array formation cast by Li Lingtian was also destroyed at that moment. The 3 spirit mountains flew up quickly. Wherever they passed, all the water in the Yin River was pierced through. Seeing this opportunity, Liang Tian ignored the severity of his injuries and quickly followed the spirit mountain. With the spirit mountain leading the way, he did not use the slightest bit of strength. However, the spirit mountain's speed brought about a destructive gale. Li Lingtian cast his defense to withstand the gale. Li Lingtian did not know how much time had passed, but he could not remember. At that moment, a deafening explosion sounded as if the world had been destroyed. At the same time, Li Lingtian felt a destructive force coming at him. Boom! When Li Lingtian noticed the destruction, he used his divine consciousness to block it with the freezing sky altar. Although he did not know what the freezing sky altar was used for, it was the best treasure to resist the destructive power. Just as freezing sky god altar blocked the attack, Li Lingshan's entire body trembled. Freezing sky god altar swayed as well, and he was thrown backward as he spat out another mouthful of blood. The power that could destroy the world seemed to have destroyed the world. However, it was at this moment that Li Lingshan's eyes lit up. His face lit up when he saw the situation before him. Because he had already left the Yin River and arrived in the outside world. However, before he could be happy, his expression changed drastically. That was because the Yin River water that could destroy the world had shot into the sky behind him. Just like the Yellow River bursting its banks, the entire Yin River had found a breakthrough. At the same time, he saw 6 or 7 figures in his eyes. 5 of them could not be more familiar. There were 5 experts from Yunfeng Villa, and he didn't know 2 of them. It seemed that they were together. However, at this moment, the destructive Yin River water appeared, causing the expressions of the 7 supreme experts to change drastically. They became extremely terrifying. Rumble. 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 The endless mountain range before him was being flooded by the Yin River water. Wherever the pitch-black Yin River water passed, everything was destroyed and eroded. Immovable golden body seal. Li Lingshan's expression changed drastically as he looked at the 5 powerhouses. At the same time, a murderous intent rose in his heart. He forcefully controlled the immovable golden body Madra and directed the 3 spirit mountains to bombard the 9th firmament martial saint powerhouses. Borrowing the impact of the spirited mountain, he adjusted his direction. The destructive power pressed down like the might of heaven. Ah! 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 Screams of agony continued to ring out as the halo above spirited mountain trembled. More blood trickled down Li Lingshan's lips. At this moment, the spirit mountain also quickly became smaller. In the blink of an eye, it had shrunk to the size of a palm. Li Lingshan's expression changed when he saw this. With a wave of his hand, he grabbed at the 3 spirit mountains from afar. The 3 spiritual mountains returned to his hand. When he looked at the few super experts, his expression was even more shocked. Of the 7 supreme experts, only 4 were left. 3 of them had already vanished into thin air, and the remaining 4 were all pseudo-martial god experts. However, they had also suffered heavy injuries. He did not expect that the power of the 3 spirit mountains would actually crush and destroy 3 9th heavenly level martial saints. Moreover, he had yet to control this spirit mountain or the immovable golden body seal. If he could control these 2 things, he did not know how powerful they would be. He floated in the air, dragging 3 spiritual mountains with him. His expression slowly calmed down. Looking down, the mountain range of 1,000,000 miles was quickly submerged. Countless experts and geniuses were quickly drowned and died. Originally, this bit of power was nothing, but the corrosive power of the Yin River water was not something that any expert could resist. Swoosh! Swoosh! Hundreds of martial saints and martial emperors had already flown into the sky. These experts were all geniuses of the Yunfeng Villa. They had sensed the Yin River the moment it appeared and escaped the calamity of destruction. Chapter 749, Heaven-Destroying Sword Formation Void. The water of the Yin River instantly flooded thousands of miles. The entire Yunfeng Villa had disappeared. Not to mention the Yunfeng Villa, even the Yunfeng mountain range had disappeared. The backing of the Great Shang Kingdom had never thought that it would be destroyed by the Yin River. All of this came from this white-robed young man. The 4 pseudo-martial god powerhouses and hundreds of super powerhouses glared at Li Lingtian with rage on their faces. The towering rage from his body seemed to want to tear Li Lingtian apart. It should be known that Yun Peak Villa and Yun Peak Mountain Range were the foundation of the Yun family. Everything was here, but everything was destroyed in an instant. How could they endure it? The destruction of the Yun Peak Villa meant that there would be a change of dynasty in Great Shang. Even if there wasn't a change of dynasty, the royal family of Great Shang wouldn't be as strong as before. In fact, before the Freedom King dynasty could attack, Great Shang would start a massacre. However, they wouldn't blame him for all of this. They wouldn't blame him for the mistake. If it weren't for the fact that Yunfeng Villa gathered all the alchemists to refine the reincarnation pill and didn't seek death themselves, Yunfeng Villa wouldn't have been destroyed now. If they had not provoked Li Lingtian, he would not have destroyed Yunfeng Villa with the Yin River. Li Lingtian, you destroyed 100,000 disciples of Yunfeng Villa. Even if I die today, I'll turn you into ashes. Yun Longya's expression was extremely ugly, and his eyes were bloodshot. He had never thought that his Yun family, which was at the height of its power, would actually become like this in an instant. Originally, Yun Peak Villa wanted to unify the Xian continent. However, with the current situation, it would be very difficult to even protect the Great Shang Kingdom, let alone unify the Xian continent. Your Yunfeng Villa is courting death. You imprisoned and absorbed the cultivation base and life force of countless experts in order to refine the reincarnation pill. In order to refine the reincarnation pill and become a martial god, you have lost all conscience. If you didn't go against me, would I destroy your Yunfeng Villa? I don't want to waste time with you. Since you want to kill me, then show me your true ability, lest you regret it later. Li Lingtian looked at the martial emperor and martial saint powerhouses around him with a sharp gaze. Wherever his gaze passed, all the experts lowered their heads. This gaze was as sharp as a sword. Since Yunfeng Villa was so shameless, he wouldn't be polite. When he spoke, his voice was like a dragon's roar. As soon as he finished speaking, the aura around his entire body soared, and he had the aura to fight against all the experts in the world. This boldness and aura immediately shocked countless experts. His aura soared to the extreme, and the heavenly fiend region once again displayed it. He waved his hands in the air, and a stream of light flashed between his eyebrows. 3 extremely exquisite small swords appeared in front of him. Each of the 3 small swords was only an inch long. However, the 3 small swords emitted a heaven-defying aura. This was the pressure of a saint weapon, the pressure of a supreme saint weapon. The pressure of a single super supreme grade saint weapon was enough to make martial emperors and martial saints feel a strong suppression. With 3 terrifying super supreme grade saint weapons together, the pressure was no longer as simple as 1 + 1 + 1. Moreover, the 3 supreme saint weapons were heavenly swords. They were one heavenly sword. Now that Li Lingtian had nourished and refined them together, they had a deep connection with each other. Their power was also several times stronger. He understood that if he continued to hide, he would die without a complete corpse in the face of the destructive attacks of 4 pseudo-martial god experts and hundreds of super experts of the Yun family. Any one of the 4 pseudo-martial god realm experts could crush him to death. Other techniques were useless. Only his trump cards could fight against the 4 fake martial gods. If even these trump cards could not deal with the 4 fake martial gods, then he would be waiting to die. He completely ignored the other martial saints and martial emperors. As long as he killed the fake martial god, these martial emperors and martial saints could be killed easily. Metal Dao Intent. Li Lingtian looked at the 3 exquisite swords in front of him with a serious expression as a smile appeared on his face. When he looked at the small sword, it was as if he was looking at his own family and friends. Then, his aura changed, and a destructive metal will erupted. When the will of the great path of metal erupted, all the powerhouses reacted. They unleashed their powerful attacks and stared at Li Lingtian in horror as they felt the destructive will in the air. However, at this moment, the three heavenly swords in front of Li Lingtian had already reverted to their original form. They hovered in front of him and the terrifying pressure was even stronger. Heaven-destroying sword formation, three swords combined into one. Void destruction. Li Lingtian's eyes gradually turned cold. The three heavenly swords burst forth with a shocking sword will. At the moment the sword will burst forth, the three heavenly swords strangely merged together. The three heavenly swords merged together, and a terrifying pressure and sword will soared into the sky. Li Lingtian grabbed the combined heavenly sword with one hand and a devastating sword ray shot into the distance. This was the direction of the four people from Cloud Dragon Cliff. The four false martial gods were the most terrifying opponents. He didn't dare to use any other moves and could only use Void Destruction. Void Destruction was the fourth move of the heaven-destroying sword formation. It was also a divine power that surpassed the top-notch Saint tier. It had even surpassed the Saint tier. If he couldn't even defeat a few experts with this move, he didn't have much hope. Fighting with such a pseudo-martial god expert would either destroy the world or wait to die. After all, if a pseudo-martial god expert were to attack, he would not even have the chance to use his ultimate move. Moreover, the other party was a few pseudo-martial god experts and hundreds of martial emperors and martial saints. These people could completely restrain his ultimate move. Now, when these people were unprepared, he used his most powerful move, which exceeded everyone's imagination. Boom! In the air, a halo exploded. At first, the halo was only a dot, but in an instant, this dot seemed to have been detonated. Instantly, the area within a radius of 1,000 miles was enveloped in this halo. All the experts were trapped in this halo. Li Lingtian's body flashed as he looked down coldly before he flew into the void. The moment he left, a treasure chest sounded and a halo exploded. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Wherever the halo passed, destruction would follow. The halo was like a black hole that devoured the lives of experts. It even devoured everything in the void. The void was completely destroyed at this moment. Hundreds of martial emperors and martial saints were devoured in an instant, turning into nothingness and completely disappearing from this world. The four pseudo-martial gods were suffering from the tearing of the void destruction. Their faces were filled with agony and their eyes were filled with horror and despair. They never expected that Li Lingtian would not only defy the heavens but also master such a terrifying divine ability. Limitless 9-in technique. At this moment, Yunlongya's expression hardened as he glanced at the other three pseudo-martial gods. The four of them looked at each other and nodded. Then, the true essence in their bodies reversed. At this moment, a destructive profound yin qi appeared in the air. The entire destructive space was filled with yin qi. In the blink of an eye, a gray light appeared. After this light appeared, it immediately blocked the power of the void destruction. An elite of the netherworld. Li Lingtian was shocked and he saw the cultivation techniques of Yunlongya's group of four. He did not expect the powerhouses from Yunfeng Villa to cultivate the underworld's cultivation techniques. At the same time, he could tell from the auras of the four of them that these fellows from the Yunfeng Villa were experts from the netherworld. However, they had always hidden themselves very well, so it was impossible to tell. No wonder they dared to use the cultivation and vitality of martial artists to refine the reincarnation pill. It turned out that they did not take human lives seriously at all. In the air, the entire space was filled with destruction. The two destructive attacks were in a stalemate. The power of the void destruction was heaven-defying, and it had already surpassed the divine arts of the divine martial continent. However, the few powerhouses before him were pseudo-martial god realm experts with terrifying strength. Furthermore, they were working together. It was a feat for Li Lingtian to be able to hold them off with his void destruction. The destructive void continued to devour everything between heaven and earth, but only the cultivation technique halo cast by Yunlongya and the other three could not devour it. Li Lingtian did not feel the slightest bit of melancholy as he observed the situation. He circulated the only bit of true essence in his body. Devouring light. With a flick of his consciousness, he unleashed the devouring light. Because at this moment, his Zhen Yuan was almost exhausted, it was impossible to recover his Zhen Yuan with the heaven-defying pill. The only thing he could use was the devouring light, which could devour spiritual qi and turn it into Zhen Yuan. The destructive aura quickly transformed into true essence, and the true essence in his body quickly recovered. Tyrannical blade art, desolate 10 consecutive slashes. True essence recovered, and the true essence in his entire body reached its peak. However, the true essence at this time was not his own true essence at all. If it stayed in his dantian for too long, it would be imprinted. The aura of his entire body skyrocketed, and the heavenly extreme tyrant Emperor Saber appeared in his hand. He circulated his divine sense and executed the heavenly extreme tyrant Emperor Saber. The first move of the tyrant Saber art, desolate 10 consecutive strikes, was also unleashed to the extreme at this moment. The 10 saber rays slashed down as if they ignored the distance between them. However, these 10 saber rays were no longer together like before. Now, the 10 saber rays were completely separated as they bombarded the 4 pseudo-martial god experts. His cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level martial emperor realm. His strength had reached an extreme. When he used this move again, its power was countless times stronger than before. Moreover, the power of the divine artifact was fully unleashed at this moment. The power of a divine artifact was indestructible. As long as the opponent was not a divine artifact, they would not be able to withstand the divine artifact's attack pressure. Moreover, Li Lingtian had combined the divine weapon and the heaven-grade superpower to unleash the power. The power was several levels stronger than expected. The destructive divine weapon pressure and the terrifying desolate 10 consecutive slashes descended from the sky like divine might. It directly bombarded the dead people at Cloud Dragon Cliff. Looking at the 10 saber rays descending from the sky, the 4 people from Yunlongya's group were filled with horror and despair. Now, they finally understood Li Lingshan's true power. It was beyond their imagination. Li Lingshan's appearance made them feel that the iron law of the world had changed. Chapter 750, Yunfeng Villa, Destruction. The 10 saber rays fiercely slashed at the 4 people's halos. Kacha. With a crisp sound, the halo was destroyed by the saber light. The 10 saber lights intersected in the air. The crisscrossing saber light was like a saber net, and it carried waves of destructive saber intent. Wherever the saber intent passed, the 4 super experts were turned into pieces. Without the slightest scream, the 4 false martial god realm experts vanished into thin air. The air was filled with the aura of destruction, and the saber light also disappeared at this time. Li Lingshan's body swayed as a smile appeared on his lips. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Ever since he succeeded in refining the pill, his true essence had been constantly consumed. He had fought with a few experts and suffered heavy injuries before entering the Yin River. He found an exit in the Yin River and used Crimson Light Heavenly Monarch. Later on, he was injured by the immovable golden body Madra and subdued 3 spirit mountains. After he came out, he used Void Destruction. Now, he was even more injured. This time, his injuries were more serious than before. He activated the Divine Dragon Ring with his divine consciousness. Whitey appeared in front of him. It then conjured a spaceship and flew away quickly with Li Lingtian. Longda and the others had also appeared at that moment. They had been standing not too far away from Yunfeng Villa and witnessed the changes there. By the time they arrived, Li Lingtian had already ended the battle. Longda and the rest caught up to Li Lingshan's spaceship and boarded it to pilot it. Xiaobai could now take care of Li Lingtian. "Brother, why are your injuries so serious?" Xiaobai sat beside Li Lingtian and asked with concern. She reached out to take out a silk handkerchief and wiped the blood off Li Lingshan's mouth before looking at him. I've encountered a few fake martial gods. Li Lingtian gave a simple explanation before he began to heal his injuries. At this point in time, he could not afford to ignore his injuries. Otherwise, there would be repercussions for his cultivation. Little White did not ask any more questions. It stood guard by Li Lingshan's side and did not allow anyone to disturb Li Lingshan's healing. The flying ship flew at high speed and in a day, they had already left the borders of the Great Shang Kingdom. The Great Shang Kingdom was in chaos. The Yunfeng Villa had been submerged. The entire Yunfeng Villa had disappeared into the Yin River, forming the Yin River. The Yun Peak mountain range also disappeared, and all the experts died inside. No one knew what had happened to Yunfeng Villa. They all thought that the Yin River had drowned Yunfeng Villa, causing all the experts of Yunfeng Villa to die. The Yunfeng Villa was the backing of the Great Shang royal family. Now that the Yunfeng Villa was gone, some of the families with ambitions towards the Great Shang Kingdom had already started to stir. For a moment, the Great Shang Kingdom was in turmoil. However, although countless experts did not know about the Yun Peak Villa, there were a few experts in the royal family of the Great Shang Kingdom who knew. There were a total of 9 fifth sky martial saints in Yunfeng Villa. 7 of them stayed in Yunfeng Villa and 2 of them guarded the palace. There were also a few 7th or 8th firmament martial saint powerhouses in the palace. Naturally, they were well aware of the incident at Yunfeng Villa. Naturally, they knew that Li Lingtian was the one who caused the destruction of Yunfeng Villa. 7th uncle, 9th uncle, Yunfeng Villa is gone. Are we just going to sit here and wait for the other families to bully us? The king of Great Shang, Yun Ao Ting, had an anxious expression on his face. Ever since the Yun Peak Villa was submerged, he had never felt at ease. He knew how important Yun Peak Villa was to Great Shang. Without Great Shang, the Yun family would never be able to gain a foothold in Great Shang. Moreover, even if they managed to gain a foothold, the strength of Great Shang would decline. We don't have to worry about Great Shang. The main problem is the Carefree Empire. Li Lingtian from the Carefree Empire is too terrifying. He was the one who caused this incident. I never expected a martial emperor powerhouse to be so powerful. Right now, although the Carefree Empire hasn't made a move, it's because they are waiting for an opportunity. Our Great Shang Kingdom is their opportunity. He has obtained the Grade 8 Spirit Concentration Pill formula and the Reincarnation Pill. We simply can't do anything about it. The only way is to snatch the Reincarnation Pill back while Li Lingtian is injured. Well, cultivate in secret and wait for a comeback. Cloudsky's expression was also extremely ugly. One had to know that he was also a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. As long as he obtained the Reincarnation Pill, he would have a chance to become a martial god. He did not expect such an unforeseen event to happen midway. Not only did he not get the Reincarnation Pill, but he also lost Yunfeng Villa. Yunfeng Villa was his main family, but now he didn't even have a home. Naturally, he was unhappy. However, when he thought about how Li Lingtian had single-handedly killed several powerhouses of the same generation, he felt a sense of dread. His cultivation was among the last few people in the Yun family. Even a pseudo-martial god powerhouse was killed. As a 9th firmament martial saint, he could not think of any chance to fight Li Lingtian. However, if he could obtain the reincarnation elixir and attain the martial god realm with it, he would be able to kill Li Lingtian. Abandon the Great Shang Kingdom? However, how difficult is it to get the Reincarnation Pill from Li Lingtian? When Cloud Dream City heard Cloudsky's words, they understood that Cloud Sky wanted to give up on the Great Shang Kingdom. Furthermore, he wanted to fight for the Reincarnation Pill. Wasn't this like pulling teeth from a tiger's mouth? Li Lingtian had even killed a few super powerhouses, so what else could the two of them do? This was simply impossible, and this method would not work. Li Lingshan's injuries have worsened. He doesn't have the ability to fight anymore. There's no 7th Heaven Martial Saint powerhouse in the Freedom King dynasty, let alone a Martial Saint 8-9. As long as we send an 8th Heaven Martial Saint powerhouse over, will you be able to snatch the reincarnation pill from Li Lingtian? If we miss this opportunity, we can forget about it in the future. Moreover, if we don't give up now, Great Shang will be attacked. In the future, we won't even have a chance to rise again. As Yun Shao spoke slowly, his expression gradually calmed down. However, his eyes were filled with a deep murderous intent. His hatred for Li Lingtian had seeped into his bones. Yes, this idea is feasible. However, Li Lingtian has left Great Shang a long time ago. If we were to pursue him, we would never be able to catch up. How about this? The two of us will use the 9 heavens and 10 earths grand magic to kill him before he returns to the Carefree dynasty. After he returns to the Carefree dynasty, even if the Carefree dynasty doesn't have any super warriors, the Carefree dynasty has the super war god. We won't dare to fight against this mysterious war god. Yun Mengcheng pondered for a long time before finally speaking his mind. Yun Ao Ting had been listening from the side. Although he was the king, in front of the super-strong warriors of the Yun family, he was just a junior at the first sky of the Martial Saint realm. At this moment, only the elders could make the decision. Li Lingshan's appearance was an unforeseen event in Xianzhou. Great Shang was ambitious and wanted to unify Xianzhou. However, they never expected Li Lingshan's appearance to cause such a change. Yun Peak Villa had no choice but to take action in advance to prevent Li Lingshan's Carefree dynasty from attacking. However, they did not expect Li Lingtian to come to Yun Peak Villa. The pill was successfully refined, but Li Lingtian had destroyed Yunfeng Villa and all its powerhouses. In less than a day, most of the kingdoms and experts in the entire Mystic Moon Empire knew about what had happened at the Yun Peak Villa. When they received this news, they were all extremely shocked. Although no one knew that it was Li Lingtian who did it, the world's trade wall was airtight. Soon, the incident of Yunfeng Villa being submerged was linked to Li Lingtian from Freedom King dynasty. Furthermore, Li Lingshan's whereabouts were dug up. Li Lingshan's reputation spread from the Carefree Empire to the entire Mystic Moon Empire. Initially, it was thought that Li Lingtian had established the Carefree dynasty by luck. However, it seemed that Li Lingshan's abilities were heaven-defying. The person who was feared by all the experts was currently recuperating on the spaceship. Tang Qingyue and the others were also recuperating in the Divine Dragon Ring. Although the 5 super experts who had joined forces to attack the Yunfeng Villa in the main hall were not seriously injured, they were still shaken and did not dare to be careless. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. The spaceship had already entered the 100 Spirit Kingdoms territory. Tang Qingyue and the rest were summoned out of the Divine Dragon Ring by Li Lingtian. His injuries had stabilized for the time being. If he wanted to recover, he had to do dual cultivation with Tang Qingyue and the others. Otherwise, it would take at least a year or 2 to fully recover. The main reason was that the opponent they encountered this time was too powerful. If it was anyone else, they would have died countless times. Blue Moon, help me heal. Li Lingtian waited for Tang Qingyue and the others to come out before he spoke. Huangfu Yuyan, Tang Qingyue, and the rest did not say anything. They merely nodded and sat around Li Lingtian, unleashing their powerful true essence. Both of them had practiced dual cultivation before and had helped Li Lingtian heal quite a few times. Naturally, they were familiar with each other. The 5 mystical streams of true essence began to circulate and slowly merged together. Xianyuan Yingying's true essence was infused with the 5 elements Tao Will. The 6 streams of true essence swirled and surged toward Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian closed his eyes slightly and absorbed the surging true essence into his body. After the vital essence circulated in her body, it left her dantian and returned to Huangfu Yuyan's dantian. Tang Qingyue, Shun Mei Tang Zimeng, and Qing Ling followed behind. Finally, the vital essence entered Xianyuan Yingying's dantian. For a moment, the true essence continued to circulate in the 7 people's bodies. Li Lingshan's injuries were slowly recovering while Huangfu Yuyan and the rest's cultivation base was also improving rapidly. Every time they did dual cultivation or helped Li Lingtian heal, their cultivation base would improve rapidly. Realizing this benefit, they were basically cultivating together. Even without Li Lingtian, they could still use each other's true essence. This way, their cultivation speed was several times faster than before. Chapter 751, Interception, 1, Boom. Just as Li Lingtian and the rest were healing themselves, a dull thud was heard. Although this spaceship was an ordinary spaceship, it was not easy for ordinary demon beasts and experts to shake it. Unexpectedly, the spaceship shook as if it had crashed into a mountain range. Li Lingtian and the rest were interrupted in their recuperation. Although it didn't affect them much, they were still unhappy to be interrupted like this. Immediately, the few of them stopped their cultivation. Under such circumstances, it was naturally impossible for them to recuperate in peace. Let's go out and take a look. After Li Lingtian finished his cultivation, he spoke to Huangfu Yuyan and the rest with a faint smile on his face. However, Huangfu Yuyan and the rest understood that there was a murderous intent behind Li Lingshan's smile. Huangfu Yuyan and the rest nodded with a smile on their faces. However, the smile was genuine. In their opinion, no one was Li Lingshan's match in these places. At this moment, the spaceship stopped and floated steadily in the air. Longda stood on the spaceship and looked into the distance. He saw a huge mountain range 10 miles away. The mountain range appeared out of thin air. The flying ship was too fast to react in time and directly crashed into the mountain range. Fortunately, Longda's cultivation was deep. He used a powerful method to move the flying ship away at the moment of impact. This way, the flying ship was not destroyed. However, it caused a powerful vibration, and the spaceship quickly retreated 10 miles. However, Yun Aotian and Tian Chengzi were meditating on the flying ship. There was no movement at all because they would not display their cultivation under normal circumstances. Young Master. Longda greeted Li Lingtian respectfully when he saw him. What happened? Li Lingtian looked at the mountain range in the distance and asked Longda in confusion. It seemed like the spaceship had crashed into the mountain range or else there would not be such a huge commotion. Young Master, this mountain range fell from the sky. The flying ship couldn't dodge it in time and hit it. Longda did not dare to hesitate when he heard Li Lingshan's question. He immediately told him what had just happened. Oh. Li Lingshan's expression was initially calm, but it was laced with anger and murderous intent. However, after coming out and not finding any experts, the killing intent in his heart disappeared. However, when he heard Longda's words, he immediately became solemn. The killing intent in his heart surged again because such a thing was nothing more than a super expert being around. Only a super expert would have such a heaven-defying method to move the mountain range to attack the flying ship. Even he did not see an expert when he came out. This expert's cultivation must be extremely powerful, or it could be said that his control over space had reached a terrifying level. Even if such an expert's cultivation was not strong, it was still quite troublesome to deal with. With a flick of his divine perception, he began to scan the area ahead of him. However, he did not find anything. The more he did so, the more curious Li Lingtian became. Humph! With a cold snort, his aura soared, and a strange aura spread out. At the same time, his aura changed as well. 3 exquisite lotus-shaped runes appeared between his eyebrows, making him look extremely demonic. A blood-red light shot out from the rune. The blood-red light was like a corporeal eye. In the blink of an eye, Li Lingtian discovered two elderly men in their 50s in his divine consciousness, one in green and the other in black. With his powerful divine sense, he could see through the hiding place of the two of them at a glance and also see through their cultivation. Ninth heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. It's a pity that you haven't reached the level of a pseudo-martial god yet. With such a cultivation base, you still dare to seek death in front of me. I can't help but admire your courage. Come out. Li Lingtian said calmly as he looked at the two powerhouses in the sky. His face revealed a disdainful expression. Even if he had not recovered from his injuries, it was still nothing to two ninth heavenly layer martial saints. Moreover, there were two ninth heavenly level super martial saints who had obtained the ancient inheritance by his side. In the same batch, it was very easy for the ninth heavenly level martial saints who had obtained the inheritance to kill the other ninth heavenly level supreme martial saints. He did not even need to make a move to kill these two experts in the air. When he spoke, the disdainful expression on his face made the two martial saints in the air almost vomit blood. Swoosh! Swoosh! The air trembled as two experts appeared in the air. Yun Mengcheng and Yun Shao looked at Li Lingshan's spaceship before shifting their gaze to Li Lingtian with a puzzled expression. Li Lingtian was younger than they had expected and he was also a ninth-level martial emperor. This cultivation realm was not something that a warrior in his 20s could achieve. Even the number one genius of the Black Continent had not reached the martial emperor realm at the age of 20. He did not expect Li Lingtian to become a ninth-level martial emperor in his 20s. What was even more terrifying was that Li Lingshan's cultivation base was unmatched among the martial emperors. Even a martial saint was killed in an instant. If it was not a martial saint at the 8th or 9th heaven, the other martial saints would basically be killed in an instant. What kind of terrifying existence was this? Li Lingshan's injuries were so severe that he did not have the strength to fight. However, why was he so confident? Could it be the few Supreme Realm girls beside him? It was still that tall martial emperor powerhouse. Even the two people on the plank were at the martial Supreme Realm. Li Lingtian did not have any trump cards or abilities left. Could it be that Li Lingtian was pretending to be strong? Otherwise, Li Lingtian would not have any advantage at all. Li Lingtian, I'm sure you've prepared yourself for the price of destroying my Yunfeng villa. I want light in front of the immortal. Your cultivation is not bad, but after you're injured, what are your chances of winning? We won't argue with you about the Yunfeng villa now, but you must hand over the reincarnation pill. Otherwise, no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to leave here today. Cloudsky's expression was calm, but monstrous waves surged in his heart. Li Lingshan's reputation was well known. Furthermore, he had just killed a powerhouse from his Yunfeng villa. His strength was extremely terrifying. They were already traumatized. If not for the reincarnation pills, they would not have dared to stop Li Lingtian. Ha, ignorant. Li Lingtian looked at the two of them with disdain. He actually came to test him at this time and even planned to take back the reincarnation pill. Was this not a joke? Get lost. Long De noticed that Li Lingtian was silent and understood that Li Lingtian was enraged. If he did not leave, he would kill the two powerhouses. Now that Li Lingtian was injured, he did not want to fight or cause any trouble on the way. He did not want to fight with the two powerhouses either. However, with Yun Aotian and the other two by his side, he could test their cultivation strength. It seemed like he wanted the two of them to leave, but this word angered the two martial saints. Damn it! Li Lingtian, I'll tear you into pieces today. When Yun Mengcheng saw Li Lingshan's disdainful look, his anger was already soaring. However, he did not expect that one of Li Lingshan's subordinates would insult them in such a manner. He couldn't hold it in any longer. The aura around his body soared, and the pressure of destruction soared into the sky. A destructive pressure rushed towards the spaceship with might. The air trembled and the air was constantly distorted. "You're courting death." Li Lingtian did not move at all as he watched the devastating pressure coming at him. Yun Mengcheng and Yun Xiao looked at Li Lingtian and the others and thought that they would not stand a chance to resist. Seeing this, their expressions turned cruel. As long as the pressure landed on the spaceship, it would suppress the few martial emperors and Li Lingtian. That way, Li Lingtian could be easily killed. However, before they could finish their joy, their expressions turned ugly. Tian Chengzi, who was meditating on the flying ship, coldly shouted. He waved his hand casually, and a faint aura welcomed the pressure from afar. It seemed like a casual wave, but this faintly discernible aura directly blocked the terrifying pressure and aura. Boom! With a muffled sound, the power and pressure disappeared, and so did Tian Chengzi's aura. Tian Chengzi stood up. His expression remained unchanged as he looked coldly at Yun Mengcheng and Cloud Sky. "Who are you?" Yun Mengcheng's body swayed, and he retreated 100 meters before stopping. He did not expect that his attack would be blocked by an unremarkable person and even rebounded. Encountering such a situation, he was instantly shocked to death. "Who am I?" "It's none of your business, but if you provoke my young master, you deserve to die," Tian Chengzi said indifferently. His figure walked forward step by step. Finally, he left the spaceship and strolled in the void. He directly walked towards the other party, his entire person extremely unrestrained. They only stopped when they were 100 meters away from Cloud Dream City. 9th Heavenly Layer of the Martial Saint Realm. The expression on Yun Mengcheng's face changed drastically because he had seen through Tian Chengzi's cultivation realm. Although his cultivation realm had not reached the level of a pseudo-martial god, he gave off a feeling that he was even more terrifying than a pseudo-martial god. It was beyond their expectations that Li Lingtian had such a subordinate by his side. In Freedom King Dynasty, there were no powerhouses above the 6th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. However, at this moment, any random person Li Lingtian picked out was at the peak of the complete 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. Encountering such a thing, they were naturally incomparably shocked. As he spoke, he looked at the other martial emperor who was meditating and cultivating on the plank. Since this person started off as a martial emperor and now became a 9th heavenly layer martial saint, could the other one also be a 9th heavenly layer martial saint? He was hoping that the other one was not a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. They could join forces to kill a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. However, if two 9th heavenly layer martial saints were together, the two of them did not have the slightest confidence in killing the other party. Not to mention killing him, even if he escaped, the chances were not high. After all, this 9th heavenly layer martial saint was even more terrifying than the false martial god. Chapter 752, Demonic Art, 1, Yun Aotian did not disappoint Cloud Sky and the other two. He slowly stood up with a calm expression on his face. However, Yun Aotian's movements caused Cloud Sky and the others' expressions to change drastically. This was because the aura on Yun Aotian's body had skyrocketed. It was also the aura of a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. The thing he was most worried about and afraid of had happened. The appearance of two peak 9th heavenly layer martial saints was beyond their imagination. Li Lingtian was already heaven-defying. Now, he had two 9th firmament martial saint powerhouses by his side. This was something they had never expected. They already had the intention to retreat. The sixth sense of an expert told them that these two people were enough to kill them. If the Yun Peak Villa was finished, the Great Shang Kingdom would also vanish into thin air. Since you're here, stay. When Tian Chengzi saw Cloud Sky and the other two's appearance, his expression was ice-cold, and the corners of his mouth overflowed with a trace of a cruel smile. After following Li Lingtian for a long time, even some of his expressions were affected. Rip! The space was torn apart by Tian Chengzi's terrifying power. The strong wind raged. The terror of the peak ninth heavenly layer martial saint was displayed at this moment. At the same time, the saint perfect grade weapon in his hand flashed with destructive might. They were already extremely powerful martial saint powerhouses, but after receiving the ancient legacy, their abilities had reached an unimaginable level. Coupled with Li Lingshan's occasional guidance on the heaven and earth reincarnation art, their cultivation had advanced to another level. The longer they followed Li Lingtian, the more fearful they were of Li Lingshan's heaven-defying strength. Similarly, they were more respectful of Li Lingtian. A young martial artist in his 20s actually had heaven-defying cultivation insights. In the divine martial continent, such a monster had never appeared before. Now that Li Lingtian had appeared, it was highly likely that the current situation of the divine martial continent would change. So, the sound of air being torn apart rang out. Yun Aotian's figure strangely appeared on the other side of Cloud Sky and the other person, blocking their escape route. Knowing the murderous intent in Li Lingshan's heart, as his subordinates, they would not let go of the person whom Li Lingtian wanted to kill. For a moment, the atmosphere in the air was strange and oppressive. Cloud Sky and the other man's faces turned ugly. At this moment, they could no longer be lucky in front of two super martial saints. Great Shang Kingdom miscalculated, so did Yun Peak Villa. Both of them miscalculated as they did not expect Li Lingtian to be so heaven-defying. They did not expect Li Lingtian to have two ninth heavenly layer martial saints by his side. Demonic Sky Limitless Tao, 12 Forms of Cloud Peak. Heavenly Yin Demon Suppression, Descend. Yun Xiao and Yun Mengcheng exchanged a glance. It would be difficult for them to escape from these two Chao martial saints, let alone kill Li Lingtian. If he were to hide his cultivation, he would only be courting death. The aura around his body rapidly changed. This aura piqued Li Lingshan's curiosity. Was it the profound Yin Qi? That was not right. Was it demon-suppressing Qi? That was not right either. However, the auras of Cloud Sky and Yunmengcheng contained demonic aura and Yin aura. They were a fusion of the two auras. Li Lingshan's lips curled into a smile when he realized this. If other experts encountered such a situation, they would more or less suffer a loss. However, this aura was completely not worth mentioning in front of him. He looked at Yun Aotian and Tian Chengzi to see how confident they were in dealing with this mysterious aura. Clear Sky Qi. Shen Yun Dao. When Tian Chengzi and Yun Aotian saw the aura displayed by the two people from Cloud Dream City, they were stunned and immediately felt solemn. However, the more it was like this, the more excited the two of them were. In the past, he was unrivaled among the martial saints. However, when he met powerhouses like the Martial God and Li Lingtian at the Divine Martial Hall, he had been suppressed for a long time. He had been feeling aggrieved for a long time. Now that he had a powerful opponent, he was naturally motivated to fight. Immediately, 4 figures flashed in the air, occasionally letting out destructive booms. The space shook, and strong winds raged. However, the strong wind disappeared in front of the spaceship as if it had been swallowed by a mysterious aura. Boom! Boom! Explosions continued to ring out in the air. Li Lingtian was watching the battle in the sky while Tang Qingyue and the others were by his side. As martial honors, they could not see through the battle between the peak martial saints. However, when he noticed the smile on Li Lingshan's face, he knew that the other party did not stand a chance. Gradually, the 4 figures could no longer be seen. Instead, there were only 4 halos. The halos were like meteors that crisscrossed in the sky. Every time 2 halos intersected, a destructive explosion would erupt, and a terrifying force would tear through space. Streaks of astral winds were emitted from the torn space. The destructive astral winds were extremely terrifying. Even a martial honor would be instantly destroyed, and they encountered these astral winds. Big brother Ling Tian, how confident do you think Yun Ao Tian and the others are? Xianyuan Yingying stood beside Li Ling Tian and looked up at him as she watched the battle in the air. She had the 5 elements sacred body and also had the 5 elements will. She could also sense that the 2 auras in the air were different. Yun Ao Tian and Tian Chengzi's cultivation strength has already reached the limit of a martial saint. If they encounter other peak complete earthly sovereigns, they can easily kill them. However, the people they encountered this time cultivated the techniques of the devil race and the netherworld. Moreover, the techniques of the 2 races have already fused. It's impossible to defeat them. When the time comes, they'll still need to take action. Li Lingshan's smile remained on his face. His gaze had already left the 4 halos in the void, but his terrifying divine consciousness extended to 1,000 miles away. He would take action at the first sign of trouble. Even though his injuries had not recovered, he did not want to lose 2 ninth heavenly layer martial saint powerhouses, let alone 2 powerhouses who had obtained an ancient inheritance. Pang, pft. At that moment, Li Lingshan's figure disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already in the void. At the same time, there was a muffled sound in the air. The 4 halos separated at this moment, and blood flowed from the corners of Yun Ao Tian and Tian Chengzi's mouths. Li Lingshan's body hovered in the middle of the 4 men as a terrifying aura emanated from his body. Young Master. When Yun Ao Tian and Tian Chengzi saw Li Lingshan's appearance, their faces revealed a hint of shame, but their eyes were filled with shock. They did not expect that their cultivation and strength would actually be defeated by the other party's mysterious cultivation technique. If it were not for Li Lingshan's arrival earlier, the 2 of them would have suffered even more serious injuries. It turned out that with their cultivation strength, they could completely suppress Cloud Sky and Cloud Dream City's attacks. However, after the 2 of them used a mysterious cultivation technique, the terrifying aura continuously corroded their cultivation, and their true essence quickly flowed away. In the blink of an eye, the opponent had taken the initiative. Just as they were about to be killed by the opponent's terrifying aura, Li Ling Tian appeared before the duo in a strange manner and blocked the 2 mysterious auras. Li Ling Tian, if it was in the past, I would still think highly of you. But you're injured now, so you can't resist our heavenly devil limitless Tao at all. If you destroy my Yunfeng villa, it'll make you regret ever coming to this world. Your death will be the end of the Xiaoyao Empire. When Yun Xiao saw that Li Ling Tian had managed to block their attacks, he was shocked. They knew the power of the heavenly demonic limitless Tao better than anyone else. If the 2 of them joined forces, not to mention a martial emperor, even a 9th heavenly layer martial saint or even a false martial god expert would not be able to withstand it. Ignorant. Li Ling Tian looked at Yun Xiao as he spoke with a calm expression on his face. After Yun Xiao finished speaking, a disdainful smile appeared on his lips. His voice was extremely cold, as if it came from the underworld. The disdain in his eyes was like a sharp sword that pierced through the hearts of Yun Xiao and Yun Mengcheng. He was instantly furious. Detestable, extremely detestable. Yun Mengcheng's body swayed as he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was so angry that he almost fell from the sky. A true demon descended? It's the first time I've seen someone cultivate a cultivation technique to the point where it's completely unlike anything else. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll let you broaden your horizons. Saint Demon True Scripture, Heavenly Demon Region. Li Ling Tian looked at Cloud Heaven Dream City with disdain. The corners of his mouth curled into a contemptuous smile as he spoke indifferently. However, his aura changed rapidly as he spoke. Seeing this aura, Cloud Sky and Yun Mengcheng's expressions changed drastically. Li Lingshan's aura began to change strangely. It was originally a terrifying aura of the 5 elements of heaven and earth, but in the blink of an eye, it turned into devil chi and devil-suppressing chi. The strongest devil-suppressing aura of the devil race. This aura could only be cultivated by experts with the royal bloodline of the devil race. The heavenly demonic limitless path that they cultivated was just a small part of the demon race. Furthermore, they had not even managed to cultivate a superficial cultivation technique yet. On the other hand, Li Lingshan's cultivation technique was actually the strongest cultivation technique of the demon race. Comparing the two was like comparing heaven and earth. In the air, terrifying demonic chi soared into the sky. Between Li Lingshan's brows, 3 exquisite blood-red lotus-shaped runes appeared. The runes shimmered with a blood-red radiance, making him look extremely demonic. Demons? You are a demon. Cloud Sky and Cloud Dream City could no longer calm down at this time. As he cried out in alarm, he quickly flew into the distance. He could not stay in this place any longer. The Li Ling Tian before him was not a 9th-level martial emperor but a terrifying demon. However, the moment his body flashed, his entire body was imprisoned in the air and he could no longer move. Did I ask you to leave? The smile on Li Lingshan's lips turned cruel as the demon-suppressing aura from his entire body dissipated into the air. Ever since he had obtained the demon-subduing chi from Princess Kingwa's clone, his understanding of the Saint Demon's quintessence had improved by another realm. Even if he did not deliberately cultivate the Saint Demon's quintessence now, the Saint Demon's quintessence could still grow stronger along with his cultivation realm. As soon as he finished speaking, his hands reached out in the air and grabbed towards Cloud Sky and the other two. The invisible hand instantly imprisoned the two of them in the void. I recommend the new book, Ancient Sage Myriad Ancient King. I welcome everyone to read and save it. I also want to vote for it. The new book needs everyone's support. Only with everyone's support can the new book go further. Chapter 753, Returning to Liberty Sacred City, Tyrant Demon Dragon Kill. They would not die if they did not seek death. If the two of them had not cast the heavenly demonic limitless path, Li Ling Tian would not have imprisoned them so easily. He cultivated the true Saint Demon record, controlled the Saint Demon Chi, and had countless demon treasures. Using a demonic technique in front of him was simply courting death. The monstrous demonic chi filled the entire space. Yun Xiao and Yun Mengcheng's faces were filled with horror and despair. They were confined and could not circulate their quintessential essence as they watched Li Ling Tian helplessly. The confined space was instantly destroyed by Li Lingshan's tyrannical demonic dragon kill. The space was destroyed inch by inch. Endless demonic chi penetrated their bodies like real dragons. The true essence in their bodies was devoured, and their vitality was rapidly drained. Die! With a soft shout, the demonic chi disappeared. At the same time, Yun Xiao and Yunmeng's city in the sky also disappeared at this moment, as if they had never appeared in this space. The peak of the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm had fallen. The world quieted down. Li Lingshan's figure flashed, and when he reappeared, he was already on the spaceship. As for the other matters, Yun Ao Tian and his companion would naturally handle them. When Li Ling Tian returned to the spaceship, blood trickled down the corner of his mouth and his face was ghastly pale. He was already injured, and now that he had used the Saint Demon quintessence, he was even more injured. Not to mention a martial emperor, even a martial saint or martial god would not be able to withstand it. However, it was extremely easy to kill the two super experts of the Yun family this time because the cultivation techniques used by the two super experts of the Yun family happened to be his trump cards. In front of the Saint Demon true understanding, any demonic technique would be vulnerable. Moreover, the two of them had not truly mastered the heavenly demonic limitless Tao. Even if they did, it would only hasten their death. Very soon, Yun Ao Tian and the other returned to the flying ship, and the flying ship flew quickly again. The air in the space gradually calmed down. No one knew that there had been a great battle between 9th heavenly layer martial saints here. Moreover, 2 ninth heavenly layer martial saints had fallen in this place. Young master, the cultivation technique that the two people from the Yun family used just now should be a demon's cultivation technique, right? When Yun Ao Tian arrived in front of Li Ling Tian, the embarrassment and shame on his face had disappeared. To him, it was normal for Li Ling Tian to kill 2 ninth firmament martial saints. As super experts, they had failed this time. It could only be said that they had encountered a strange opponent. If it were any other powerhouse, they would have long fallen in front of the two of them. He had never seen Li Ling Tian use the devil technique before. Now that he had discovered Li Lingshan's cultivation technique, he could not help but feel shocked and asked Li Ling Tian tentatively. That's right, the heavenly demonic limitless way is the cultivation method of the demons. It's just that the infinite way of the heavenly devil is just a small trick. I'm also practicing the devil cultivation method. In this world, the strong are respected. No matter what kind of cultivation method it is, it's just to kill the opponent. Li Lingshan's sharp gaze fell upon the two of them as a murderous intent flashed across his eyes. However, this killing intent slowly dissipated. After pausing for a moment, he opened his mouth and told her about the demonic technique. In this world, there were countless experts who cultivated demonic techniques. It was not only the demons who could cultivate demonic techniques. Demonic cultivators also cultivated demonic techniques. He did not cultivate the saint-demon quintessence, but after cultivating it, the demon-suppressing qi continued to grow. In other words, as his cultivation increased, his demonic cultivation also increased. Gradually, he no longer had any resistance towards the holy demon true understanding. Instead, he became used to it. As he spoke, he waved his hands, and 2 streaks of true essence bombarded Yun Ao Tian and Tian Chengzi. However, these 2 streaks of true essence did not have the slightest bit of power. When the true essence bombarded Yun Ao Tian and his companion, the demonic qi on their bodies was quickly devoured by Li Ling Tian. After a moment of cultivation, the demonic qi that had corroded the two of them disappeared. Thank you, young master. The two of them bowed gratefully before returning to their original spots to meditate and cultivate. Li Ling Tian followed Tang Qingyue and the others back to the living room. Ling Tian, it seems like Great Shang doesn't have any supreme experts left. If that's the case, it will bring endless benefits to our Xiaoyao dynasty. Once your injuries are fully recovered, we will lead our army south and sweep through the 100 Spirit Kingdom, wiping out the Great Shang Kingdom. When the Carefree Empire joins the 100 Spirit Kingdom and the Great Shang Kingdom, our Carefree Empire's strength will increase by several times. Tang Qingyue asked Li Ling Tian after they returned to the living room. The others were also looking at Li Ling Tian, waiting for his opinion. Previously, he had already killed 7 ninth heavenly layer martial saints at the Yunfeng Villa and even destroyed the Yunfeng Villa. Now, there were 2 more 9th heavenly layer martial saints. No matter how powerful the Yunfeng Villa was, there was a limit to how many 9th heavenly layer martial saints there were. Not bad, it should be about time. If there are still 9th heavenly layer martial saints in the Great Shang Kingdom, they wouldn't have only sent 2 9th heavenly layer martial saints after knowing my strength. Instead, they would have sent many experts to deal with me. However, the strength of the 100 Spirit Kingdom cannot be ignored. Let's go back and cultivate for a period of time. When the time comes, we will first think of a way to deal with the 100 Spirit Kingdom. As long as we subdue the 100 Spirit Kingdom, the Great Shang Kingdom will be nothing. Li Ling Tian nodded in agreement with Tang Qingyu's words. After all, he had proven his capabilities. If the other party had a lot of powerhouses, they would not have sent just 2 9th heaven powerhouses to intercept him. Sending 2 9th heaven powerhouses was just a gamble. They were betting that Li Ling Tian would be able to make a comeback once he was seriously injured and snatched the elixir from him. That's right. Let's go back and cultivate for a period of time. After all, we've gained a lot this time. Moreover, you still have to heal your injuries. If we delay your healing, there will be repercussions for your future cultivation. We can let Long De and Ming Luo handle the war. We will help them in secret. This way, there will be people in the army who will become the soul of the army apart from us. Huangfu Yuyan added after Li Lingtian had finished speaking. After the final group of people made their decision, they began to cultivate and heal their injuries. Li Lingshan's injuries were worsening and he could not afford any delay. However, with Tang Qingyue, Huangfu Yuyan, and the rest helping him, the healing process was progressing quickly. Under the dual cultivation of the 5 elements, Li Lingshan's injuries began to stabilize in just 3 days. With enough time, he would be able to recover from all his injuries quickly. After their injuries stabilized, Tang Qingyue and the others returned to their rooms to cultivate. The flying ship quickly streaked across the void and flew toward the Xiaoyao dynasty like a meteor. Half a month later, Liberty Sacred City was already in sight. Long De piloted the flying ship and directly flew into the holy city. Just as the flying ship approached Liberty Sacred City, there were dozens of martial emperor powerhouses in the flying ship. Among them, there were even 3 martial saint super powerhouses. Dozens of super experts floated in the air. A formation appeared in the air. If the flying ship flew forward again, it would be imprisoned by the formation. When Long De saw this array formation, a smile appeared on his face. If it were any other array formation, he could have used his flying ship to break through it. However, the array formation before him was a defense array personally created by Li Lingtian, let alone a flying ship and a martial emperor. Even an 8th or 9th firmament martial saint might not be able to break it easily. Moreover, there were countless experts behind this array. Behind the experts was the defense array of Liberty Sacred City. Freedom Sacred City. Flight is prohibited. Violators will be killed. A second sky of the martial saint realm expert shouted. At the same time, all the experts released their auras. Instantly, a destructive pressure pressed down on the spaceship from the city wall. Swoosh. The flying ship stopped. Long De's expression was calm. He threw a jade token into the air and it flew straight towards the martial saint who spoke. Everyone was puzzled and did not know what Long De was doing. Not many of these people knew Long De. If they did, they wouldn't have stopped Long De. Everyone looked at the jade token in the hands of the martial saint. However, when they saw the martial saint's expression, they were all shocked. The martial saint's expression changed drastically as if he had encountered a ghost. In front of them, a martial saint was already a heaven-defying expert. For a jade token to be able to make a martial saint's expression change so much, it was definitely not simple. Seeing such a situation, they all became vigilant. Great Commander Long. This subordinate is Zhou Tian from the patrol team. Greetings, Great Commander Long. Zhou Tian looked at Long De, and after confirming his identity, he quickly bowed. Long De's cultivation base was only at the martial emperor realm. However, he was the guard of Li Lingtian, the ruler of the Carefree dynasty. Everything was handled by Long De. In the Freedom dynasty, Long De held the highest position besides Li Lingtian. This was because Long De had been following Li Lingtian ever since he was not strong enough. Great Commander Long. Subordinate greets Grand Commander. Seeing Zhou Tian's appearance, all the patrol teams were shocked and couldn't react at all. It wasn't until Zhou Tian woke everyone up that they finally reacted. Young master is cultivating. Don't disturb him. Long De said calmly. As he spoke, he reached out and grabbed the jade token from Zhou Tian's hand. The ship quickly flew forward. When the ship passed by the array, Zhou Tian had already activated it and let the ship in. The flying ship flew straight towards the palace. In half an hour, the flying ship had already arrived above the palace. With a dull thud, the spaceship landed in the palace. Li Lingtian slowly walked out of the spaceship and headed toward his cultivation palace. He naturally didn't need to deal with the matters outside. After returning to the imperial palace, Li Lingtian focused on recuperating while Tang Qinghua and the others focused on their cultivation. During this period of time, they had come to realize that the powerhouses Li Lingtian encountered were becoming more and more powerful. They had to improve their cultivation so that they could help Li Lingtian. Chapter 754, Spirit Concentration Pill, 1. No one in Liberty's sacred city knew that Li Lingtian had left. However, after the incident in the Great Shang Kingdom, someone discovered that Li Lingtian had left the imperial palace for the Great Shang Kingdom. He had even destroyed the Great Shang Kingdom's Yunfeng Villa and killed a few 9th Heavenly Layer Martial Saint powerhouses. He had single-handedly killed the backer of Great Shang and destroyed the entire Yun Peak mountain range. This commotion gradually spread throughout the entire Mystic Moon Empire. Li Lingtian did not know about these matters in the palace. However, Longda had found out about the rumors in the world. Naturally, he had his own countermeasures and would not let Li Lingtian be affected in the slightest. Then, he secretly told them about the gathering of the experts and countless alchemists in the Yunfeng Villa to refine the reincarnation pill. He even exaggerated some parts. They had placed all the blame on Yunfeng Villa. However, they had also mentioned that Li Lingtian had gone to Yunfeng Villa to exchange the Tier 7 Ultimate Great Rejuvenating Pill for the Spirit Concentration Pill formula. Just a casual mention of this would cause the powerhouses of the world to discuss it among themselves. After this news was released, the entire Mystic Moon Empire was shaken. Li Lingtian was a super divine alchemist. It was normal for him to want to obtain a level 8 Spirit Concentration Pill formula. It was also normal for him to be plotted against. However, these kingdoms could not accept the Great Shang Kingdom refining the reincarnation pill. After all, the appearance of the reincarnation pill could allow the 9th heavenly layer of the Martial Saint realm to break through to the Martial God realm. At that time, the kingdoms would not have the slightest chance to resist the attack of the Great Shang Kingdom. At the same time, they could see the ambitions of the Great Shang Kingdom. Not only did the powerhouses in the world not feel any resistance when Li Lingtian wiped out the matter regarding the Yunfeng Villa, they were instead glad. At the same time, they were also wary of Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian was already a heaven-defying individual. They did not expect him to fall in the Ain River after being attacked by a few 9th Firmament Martial Saints. In the end, they even killed these experts. This was what they were afraid of. This proved that Li Lingtian's ability was sufficient to kill a 9th Firmament Martial Saint. A 9th Firmament Martial Emperor young man had killed a 9th Firmament Martial Saint. If this young man became a Martial Saint, what kind of powerhouse would be able to defeat him? The powerhouses of the Carefree dynasty were also beginning to learn about Li Lingtian's departure. After learning that the Great Shang Kingdom was on the verge of collapse due to Li Lingtian, all the powerhouses were filled with admiration and excitement. However, it was extremely quiet in the palace. The palace was filled with birds and flowers. Although there were many palace maids and guards, there were also countless experts. But in this place, they didn't dare to make any noise. They could only stay at the outer edge of the palace because Li Lingtian was deep inside. The palace where Li Lingtian and the others lived was 1,000 miles wide. It was the place with the densest spirit qi. Martial Saint Ming Luo and the others would handle the matters of the army outside while Longda would handle the matters of the palace. Li Lingtian was not the least bit worried as he cultivated in peace. After this period of time, the cultivation of Martial Saint Ming Luo and the others had already reached the peak of the 5th sky of the Martial Saint realm. With such a realm, it was much easier to control an army. With a powerful force, Li Lingtian was not worried at all. As long as his Carefree dynasty did not attack the other kingdoms would naturally not provoke the Carefree dynasty. Li Lingtian was sitting cross-legged in a palace deep within the imperial palace. His expression was calm. He had already entered the realm of emptiness. Around him, there were streams of mysterious aura. The five-element Tao will was emitted. It was innate and came from heaven and earth. However, after Li Lingtian sensed it, it came to Li Lingshan's side. The injuries on his body were also rapidly recovering. After half a month of recuperation, coupled with Huangfu Yuyan and the others coming to help him every 2 days, his injuries recovered very quickly. After he recovered from his injuries, he made some arrangements for himself, Tang Genji, and the others. Normally, he would cultivate the heaven and earth reincarnation art and the true dragon body barrier. He would spend a portion of his time cultivating and comprehending a few heaven-defying heaven-grade and saint-grade divine powers. Comprehending the array Tao and pill Tao, using quintessential essence to nourish treasures. The rest of the time was spent guiding Qingqing in her cultivation and accompanying Tang Genji and the others. Most of the time was spent on refining medicinal pills, 6th or 7th grade medicinal pills. Although these medicinal pills were already at his fingertips, if he wanted to become a level 8 divine pill master and refine a level 8 spirit concentration pill, he would have to reach the perfection realm with his previous techniques. Refining grade 6 and grade 7 medicinal pills was also just practice. After the arrangements were made, Li Lingtian passed a jade slip to Long De. The jade slip contained all the main ingredients for a level 8 pill, as well as some precious ingredients. Li Lingtian sat cross-legged in the center of a dozen spirit-gathering formations in the palace. In front of him was a huge bottomless abyss. Mysterious flames surged out of the abyss, and the flames were enough to burn everything. However, Li Lingtian did not feel anything as he sat in front of the flame. This was because he was an alchemist himself and possessed the flaming sacred body. Using the earth core fire to refine pills would greatly reduce the consumption of energy. Moreover, the earth core fire would be relatively stable. To a pill refiner, refining pills with the fire of the earth's core was the best. The earth core fire and the spirit gathering array were already prepared, and the pill refinement could also begin. Following that, Li Lingtian refined grade 6 cleansing pills and grade 7 great rejuvenating pills every day. However, these pills did not mutate, but they were all peerless pills. In the imperial palace, there would be spirit infusion assaults every day. Every time the spirit inject shock appeared, countless powerhouses knew that it was young Emperor Li Lingtian refining the elixir. This kind of pill refinement had never stopped. A full 3 months had passed. Within 3 months, Li Lingtian had refined countless cleansing pills and great rejuvenation pills. These were not things he had to consider because his current alchemy skills had already reached an extreme. On this day, with a flick of his divine sense, the grade 8 spirit concentration pill formula appeared in front of him. His divine sense entered the pill formula and checked the information inside again. This was not the first time. Even though he was already familiar with the technique of the grade 8 spirit concentration pill formula, he did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. Since he was going to start refining the coagulate spirit pill today, it was a challenge and a breakthrough for him to refine such a pill for the first time. If he could refine a grade 8 coagulate spirit pill, Li Lingtian would be a level 8 divine alchemist. He was a supreme existence. At that time, the entire Black Continent would tremble. It was also a breakthrough for the Alchemist Guild. Because in the Alchemist Guild, there weren't many level 8 saint alchemists. The current level 8 saint alchemists were extremely rare existences. 81 10,000-year-old medicinal herbs. 100,000-year-old herb, 7 by 7, 49 types. 9 types of million-year-old herbs. Li Lingtian withdrew his divine consciousness from the jade slip with a serious expression on his face. Following which, he took out 2 jade bottles. Inside one jade bottle was 10,000-year stalactite milk, while the other jade bottle was the heaven-defying pill. To refine such a pill, the consumption of true origin alone was not something a martial emperor powerhouse could withstand. Level 8 Saint Alchemist, who wasn't a martial saint super powerhouse, but also a martial god powerhouse. Because only super martial saints and martial gods had the strength to consume Zhen Yuan. Otherwise, Zhen Yuan alone would not be able to support the success of the pill refinement. Li Lingtian did not have the slightest confidence either. Hence, he took out the extremely precious 10,000-year stalactite milk when he started his preparations. The stalactite milk would not have the slightest restriction. In this way, he could use it in exchange for the heaven-defying pill to replenish his true essence. This time, for the sake of this grade 8 spirit concentration pill, he didn't care about anything else. After that, he brought out all the medicinal herbs and carefully selected each of them. After an hour, all the preparations were done. Li Lingtian did not start refining the pills after he was done. Instead, he sat down cross-legged to rest. Rest and adjust your mental state to its peak. After an unknown period of time, Li Lingtian opened his eyes. His eyes shone brightly and a confident smile appeared on his face. He was confident no matter what. As an expert, the most important thing was one's mentality. If one's mentality was not good, half of the things they did would fail. The smile remained on his face as he looked at the earth core flame and the array in the sky. Everything was ready. Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron. Shenong Cauldron. Li Lingshan's divine consciousness moved and the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron in the divine dragon ring appeared before him. At the same time, the Shenong Cauldron appeared before him as well. Both cauldrons were the most mysterious and heaven-defying existences in the world. From the beginning to the end, Li Lingtian had no idea what the connection between the two cauldrons was. He also did not know which of the two cauldrons was more powerful. In the past, the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron had entered the Shenong Cauldron, but the last two cauldrons were separated and combined. Li Lingtian did not dare to store them in his dantian and could only store them in the divine dragon ring. The two pill cauldrons were also very free. The Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron was no longer in the Shenong Cauldron. It would leave the Shenong Cauldron from time to time. As time passed, Li Lingtian felt that the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron was a part of the Shenong Cauldron. Moreover, it was the most important part, just like the cauldron core. Looking at the two cauldrons of similar sizes, Li Lingshan's face revealed a gentle expression as if he was treating his friends. "Buddy, it's all up to you this time." Li Lingtian gently caressed the Shenong Cauldron and Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron. Both cauldrons had been refined by him, so they were connected to each other. His divine sense could sense the changes in the cauldrons. This was something a true alchemist had to do. This was because when refining pills, not only did the pill refiner have to be powerful, but he also had to have the cooperation of the pill cauldron. If the pill cauldron didn't cooperate, it was useless no matter how powerful the pill refiner was. Li Lingtian now possessed two of the most powerful and mysterious cauldrons in the world. Naturally, he had a huge advantage. As a pill refiner, he was always in contact with the pill cauldrons, using his spiritual sense and true essence to nurture the two pill cauldrons. Chapter 755, Spirit Concentration Pill, 2, Buzz 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 buzz. The Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron and the Shenong Cauldron seemed to have responded as they let out buzzing sounds. The smile on Li Lingshan's face widened when he saw the reaction of the two cauldrons. He circulated his vital essence and waved his right hand. A wisp of energy appeared and a stream of blood essence appeared on his left hand. The blood essence flew towards the two cauldrons and used the blood essence to nourish them. This way, it was more advantageous for him to communicate with the pill cauldron. Any reaction from the pill cauldron would be transmitted to Li Lingshan's awareness immediately. After being nourished by the blood essence, the Shenong Cauldron and the Heaven and Earth Creation Cauldron started to spin. Sacrifice. With a light shout, he pointed with one hand, and the two cauldrons quickly flew toward the geocentric flame. Whoosh! Whoosh! The heaven and earth creation cauldron and the Shenong cauldron rotated with each other, gradually forming two ancient light shadows that slowly fused together. Soon, the cauldron stopped. There were originally two cauldrons, but now there was only one left. The Shenong cauldron was still there, but the heaven and earth creation cauldron had disappeared. This was because the heaven and earth creation cauldron had already entered the Shenong cauldron and formed the cauldron core. The two cauldrons merged into one and carried the aura of the two cauldrons. Although their appearance did not change, Li Lingtian could clearly sense the changes on them. At the same time, he could also sense the existence of the heaven and earth creation cauldron. Sacred Sun Body. 9 Suns Sacred Flame. Li Lingtian did not stop when the cauldron fused together. Instead, he unleashed his flaming sacred body and directed a stream of 9 suns sacred flame at the earth's core fire. The fusion of the 9 suns sacred flame and the earth core flame began to slowly balance out. Chi-chi, chi-chi, the earth core flame continued to crackle as the Shenong cauldron slowly revolved above the raging flames. Li Lingtian closed his eyes slightly as his divine perception sensed the changes in the Shenong cauldron. With his cultivation and terrifying spiritual sense, he didn't need to use his eyes for anything. As long as one had a divine sense, it was often more useful than one's eyes. The things seen by the divine sense were the most real, and the things seen by the eyes were mostly fake existences. 2 minutes later, the Shenong cauldron transmitted a message to Li Lingtian's divine consciousness. Exquisite flower. Without any hesitation, Li Lingtian did not even look at it. With a wave of his hand, a I-O-year-old herb nearby flew toward the Shenong cauldron. The exquisite flower was one of the 81 10,000-year-old medicinal herbs. This exquisite flower was also used to warm the cauldron. It was a common supplementary medicinal ingredient for warming cauldrons. The Shenong cauldron opened, and the exquisite flower entered the Shenong cauldron. Immediately, a dense spiritual qi was emitted. The 10,000-year-old medicinal herb itself was a body of spiritual qi. It was basically nourished by spiritual qi. Half of the entire medicinal herb was spiritual qi. When it was refined, spiritual energy naturally emitted. Li Lingtian cast a spell and placed it on the Shenong cauldron. Immediately, the Shenong cauldron began to spin. The exquisite flower gradually turned into a medicinal liquid in the cauldron. The medicinal liquid swirled and rolled in the cauldron, continuously warming it. Lingyun grass. 10 minutes later, the exquisite flower had completely turned into a medicinal liquid, and its effect on the cauldron was also displayed. Seizing the opportunity, he waved his hand, and another medicinal herb flew toward the cauldron. A pill master's pill refining skills also required a certain level of foresight. If one did not have a certain level of foresight, it would lead to pill refinement failure. This was because after the first medicinal ingredient turned into a medicinal liquid, if it was a little too long, the medicinal liquid would become charred. If it was a little too early, the medicinal liquid would not reach that kind of mature stage. Therefore, the foresight of an alchemist was the most important. The Lingyun grass was also a 10,000-year-old medicinal herb, but the 10,000-year-old medicinal herb was no longer used to warm the cauldron. Instead, it was a supplementary ingredient for real medicinal pills. Threads, threads. The Shenong cauldron kept emitting sounds. Li Lingtian's eyes remained shut the entire time as he monitored the changes in the cauldron with his divine consciousness. Moreover, while monitoring the changes of the medicinal liquid in the pill cauldron, he also had to monitor the strength of the earth core fire and the degree of the spiritual qi between heaven and earth. These were not existences that could be seen by the eye. Only the soul consciousness could discover them at the same time. Yunxiang essence. Dragon saliva fruit. 100 spirit flower. Manluo fruit. One herb after another entered the Shenong cauldron. After a full day, the 81 10,000-year-old medicinal herbs were completely refined. The medicinal liquid continued to spin inside and fuse with each other. The originally countless colors of the medicinal liquid had now turned into a mysterious color. He couldn't tell what color it was, and the medicinal liquid had a mysterious aura. Li Lingshan's face was deathly pale as his vital essence was depleted. Heaven-defying pill. When he started to refine the pill, he had been thinking about whether to use the heaven-defying pill or the stalactite milk first. Only when his true essence was exhausted did he decide. He hoped that he could rely on the heaven-defying pill to recover his primeval essence and delay for half a day, then use the 10,000-year stalactite milk to recover his primeval essence. Using this method to recover true essence in turn ensured that the pill would not be scrapped due to insufficient true essence during the refining process. As soon as the heaven-defying pill entered his mouth, it immediately transformed into dense spiritual energy, which transformed into true essence. The true essence quickly entered his dantian. In an instant, the true essence once again recovered to its peak state. Li Lingshan's confidence was restored once again with the massive amount of true essence. However, he did not look too pleased. True essence could be restored, but his divine consciousness could not be restored quickly. Neither could his energy be fully restored. Tian Shan Snow Lotus. After his Zhen Yuan recovered, he used his divine sense and threw a heavenly mountain snow lotus into the Shenong cauldron. The Tian Shan Snow Lotus was a rare treasure from the icebound snow region. The snow lotus alone could greatly enhance a powerhouse's cultivation base. However, it could only be used to refine elixirs in front of Li Ling Tian. However, a million-year-old Tian Shan Snow Lotus could help a warrior improve his cultivation base. However, if it was refined into a pill by Li Ling Tian, it could benefit more powerhouses. Boom! Inside the cauldron, there was an explosion. It was like a bomb had entered the lake, causing endless waves to rise. Similarly, in the cauldron, countless medicinal liquids began to boil, constantly rejecting the attributes and aura of the Tian Shan Snow Lotus. Alchemy was the most common thing. Li Ling Tian did not show any signs of panic. His expression remained calm as usual. He waved his hands and cast spells. The magic art entered the cauldron, allowing the Tian Shan Snow Lotus to be quickly refined. At the same time, it stabilized the various medicinal liquids. This way, the Shenong cauldron could calm down. After half an hour, the million-year-old Tian Shan Snow Lotus was finally refined. The refined medicinal liquid also entered the other medicinal liquids and quickly fused with each other. Following that, Li Ling Tian continued to toss the million-year-old heavenly materials and earthly treasures into the Shenong cauldron. Each heavenly treasure required half an hour. The further he went, the longer the time he spent refining the million-year-old medicinal herbs. After a full 3 days, all the herbs were successfully refined. Although they were nearly destroyed a few times along the way, Li Ling Tian managed to avert the danger. After 3 days, Li Lingshan's face was pale and he was exhausted. Although he was exhausted and haggard, he heaved a sigh of relief. One of the most crucial steps of pill refinement had been completed. Next, he only needed to refine the 2 most important medicinal ingredients. Naturally, the last step was to inject spirit energy into the pill. The most difficult steps had already been taken, and victory was slowly approaching. In these 3 days, he used 3 heaven-defying pills and 6 drops of 10,000-year stalactite milk. He had finally endured it. Looking at the medicinal liquid in the cauldron, Li Ling Tian cast a series of magic arts to allow the medicinal liquid to slowly merge. He was taking a rest while fusing the medicinal liquids, because the next step was to move the most difficult medicinal ingredients. Dark crystal. After resting, Li Lingshan's expression turned grave as he heaved a sigh of relief. With a flick of his soul consciousness, a mysterious gray crystal appeared in his palm. He looked at the crystal in his hand and then at the Shenong cauldron. This crystal was a nether crystal, the hardest to refine. Although it was a crystal, it was one of the two most crucial ingredients for the grade 8 spirit concentration pill. Sacrifice his quintessential essence carried the netherworld crystal and slowly poured it into the Shenong cauldron. Li Lingshan's expression changed when the nether spirit crystal entered the cauldron. This was because after the netherworld crystal entered the cauldron, it did not undergo the shocking transformation that he had imagined. Instead, it was like a clay ox entering the sea, without the slightest movement. Just like how the nether spirit crystal was ignored, it was precisely because of this that Li Lingtian found it even more troublesome. The medicinal liquid in the Shenong cauldron was constantly being refined at a high temperature. If this nether crystal could not be refined quickly, the cauldron would be considered useless. His spirit was exhausted, his energy was wasted, and countless medicinal herbs were wasted. Although he had countless assets and did not care about spirit stones, these herbs could not be bought with spirit stones. Usually, it was a unique medicinal ingredient in the world. If it was scrapped, it would take a long time to find the medicinal ingredient to refine the spirit concentration pill again. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Inside the Shenong cauldron, the medicinal liquid was being refined continuously. As time passed, the medicinal liquid gradually solidified. Although it had not yet reached the point of solidifying into a pill, he could clearly feel that the medicinal liquid's thickness was gradually deepening. If it was too long, the medicinal liquid would completely solidify. The calm expression on Li Lingshan's face gradually disappeared as he witnessed the situation. Instead, he became anxious. Boom! At this moment, a muffled sound came from inside the Shenong cauldron. Li Lingshan's divine consciousness looked into the Shenong cauldron after hearing the dull thud. When he saw the situation inside the Shenong cauldron, his expression became strange, but gradually, the strange expression on his face became excited. It was as if he had seen the dawn. That was because the heaven and earth creation cauldron that had fused together began to separate and form a single cauldron. Within the heaven and earth creation cauldron, the netherworld crystal was also being refined by itself. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.